And we're gone.
Okay.
And we're gone. We're rolling.
All right. Who
Good evening.
remembers? Who remembers last time and can recap?
Oh, I don't know. Not much happened, you know.
The usual.
The
Yeah.
usual. We found the bastard.
I think Kane made a friend.
Kane made a friend who's looking to
think.
kill a bastard.
We found another
Alsana
bastard.
found the bastard. Yeah.
Well, let the
We
people
found
who
the
were at
bastard,
the places
but
to
we found
recap
a
the
bastard.
recap the places, I guess.
Yes.
We found the summoner of bastards. The
No,
maker of
he's
all
the
bastards.
bastard, and then he has bastards.
We left the druid camp. Kane and Calder went to Resmond.
Yeah.
Alsana and Laris went over to Audra to
Yeah.
drop Nyx off. Meanwhile, Kane and Calder were heading over to Risbon for family. Both of them got there without too much issue. As Alsana and Alaris were walking in, there was someone getting tomatoes hurled at in kind of like a. Was it a box or is it like the armbar?
It's the armbar thing. Yeah, stocks are technically just the feet locked in place and you're sitting down. A pillory is when it's the head and hands through the holes.
Yeah. So he was just in stocks, not the whole pillory
He,
ordeal.
nope, he was in pillory.
He was in the pillory ordeal. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And Alaris goes, huh, look at that, and keeps walking in, and all of a sudden it goes, it couldn't, no, it wouldn't be, it is,
I smell bastard.
and
Small bastard.
goes,
And it
oh,
was.
that's my father, unfortunately.
And Dolaris was like, "Oh shit, I will leave you to your business."
Yep. All of a sudden, sure, Lars left.
Yeah.
They had a conversation, catching up, question mark, ended with him getting a knee to the nuts and a shock to the nervous system.
Yeah. Alaris found his brother.
Meanwhile,
And
Lars
had
off too.
had good family.
Yep.
Had a good family encounter.
Yep. Nyx is apparently apprenticing with the husband of Lars' brother.
Yes.
And they have a cat.
Yes.
And it's a very
So
good cat.
Cameron.
And they have a bookstore, and it's a very good bookstore.
It's a very good bookstore. Kemrin helps run the place.
But
In Resmond.
as Alsana also found out too, apparently, the bastard has been to the Howling Plains. Been across them, actually. At least he claims. But as such, he might be the best bet of a guide we have within reasonable reach. That being said, we have to
Yes.
not kill him along the way, or, just get further and further enough that we don't need him anymore and then kill him. But that was that, and yes, meanwhile in Rismond.
We met another one of the fucking siblings. Because, of course.
What are
this
the
one's
odds?
fun. This one's
What
fun.
are the odds? This one's actually actively trying to kill Roy.
Yeah. And they've been looking and they're just like, yo,
I'm gonna
Thing
kill the
going to
bastard.
Veryville. And Kane's
Yeah.
like, huh. And Calder's like, huh, but in Irish.
Huh, but in Irish. Amazing.
And we're just like, well, we're going that way, so we could, buddy, yo, just wait a few days, because the family's there, but like, yo, we can go. And so we're just like, okay, we're gonna probably go with them, and no one works. Met called his family. That's fun.
They're
Calder
such
didn't meet her
lovely
family,
people.
she knew her family. Kane's now part of the family.
Kane also basically gave them an all-expenses paid trip to whatever city they're in. He was spending money like it nothing. And he got to be big bro for once without accidentally killing one of the siblings. And got the chance to make friends with Maxwell and what's the other one? Cayenne
Cayenne.
cayenne pepper. And he basically went like, "Yo, Maxwell, let's you're a warrior-looking dude. Let's get you actually properly outfitted. With an obscene amount of weapons, as all warriors should be." And then, yeah.
Careful, you got a girlfriend to stay faithful to.
Hey, my first love will always be my weapon. Everyone else comes second.
There's a joke there. Anyways,
Yep. He's a weapon file, but not. I believe that was it.
and then I believe the Asana did some reading in the library, and had a brief conversation with Alaris.
You found a few unusual books. There's plenty of more mundane ones in there. You can find any number of like ordinary everyday cookbooks or blank journals to write in yourself, or just books on this, that, the other thing. Standard bookstore fare. The random rolling was for the really weird ones, and oh, you found some.
Yep, yep, yep.
So, with that, let's go ahead and jump back in. So, first of all, how long are Kane and Calda planning on staying in Resmond? And also, Alsana, Alaris, are you doing anything that would notify them?
I know we have the sending stones.
We do.
We do have those boys.
Alsana's
I
kind
think
of like sweating out how to phrase this.
Who has the stones on hand again?
I believe it was called
Like if we knew we were
Alsana.
splitting up.
Yeah,
it's
I think
called
we went through this last time. It was called Alsana.
Yeah. I think Caldo would want to stay in just until the 6th because she knows y'all are waiting in that area and we need to find some info, so it's like
And plus
little bit.
we have to wait for the little one.
What, Conrad?
We have to wait for the for Rose to get to that town too, right?
Rose is with them.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, you guys all went.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And we're starting on which day of the month?
We are starting on. I have highlighted the 5th, but that might have been the current day. So let's go ahead and say it's the 6th, Grande. Because I believe that I just left the one on green that, that was the day of. Interestingly enough, the day of Shimmer Scale celebration, but that celebrated pretty much exclusively up in Azora. So there would have been a big to-do in Windsor and surrounding towns and areas, but Resmond and Adra, a little too far south, Resmond a little bit too much in a no man's land between Umbar, Azora, Galgea, for a lot of festivities. Though you might have seen a few Dragonborn in town, with like sparklers and a few little pops of fireworks that night, but not a huge to-do, at least in the area you were in.
Okay. Then for the sake of getting to see family, unless they get notified otherwise, 2-3 days before they head out? That sound fair?
Yeah, I think that'd be fair. I know Caldo's like Caldo would probably be a little worried being gone from like everyone in the party for so long, sake of being separated, but the 7th or the 8th could be good departure days, or even Caldo would pull Kane aside and just like, the 6th is fine, the 6th is fine.
And he'd go, no way in hell. Let's do the 8th at the earliest.
Fine. Okay.
Let's shake this up a bit then.
Yep.
So let's say the morning of the 6th, after you guys have taken your long rest, after that harrowing, unusual, unexpected day.
Yep. Maybe about like, just a bit before noon. Like, I don't know, like maybe around 10, 11. Selena's just gonna like pick up the stone, turn it in her hand, and just. I hope Caldic is the one holding this right now. And I'm gonna count on my hand. Found my father in Adra. He might be our guide across the plains. Don't rush back. Keep Kane calm, please. 25.
Alrighty. Caldwell would. Okay.
Calda has 25 words back, if you'd like.
Yep. I'm learning how to count to 25 real quick.
Comes after
Oh.
24.
I'm learning how to count to 24 real quick.
Guess
I'll
what?
respond in a second. I'm coughing up on him. Please hold.
This is to Calda, not to you.
Okay. Staying here till 8th. We found new sibling. Please keep calm. That's 11, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 12.
What?
11 or 12. Maybe I can't count.
I think I'm counting on my fingers. And it's 11 because I have one finger up now.
I have 2.
Uh-oh!
Hold on. Staying here till 8th. Found new sibling. Please keep calm.
Yes.
I'm getting 10.
Okay, that's even
Go with
better.
10.
Alright.
I've
All right,
got
10
10
so
as
far.
well.
You've got 15 more. You don't have to use them, but if you want.
How many times can we use the sentence? Once a week
I was
or once
counting
a
those.
month?
Oh my god, I was using that. I'm pretty sure it's once per day.
Yeah.
It's once per day? Okay.
Yes. So there will only be no reply to this reply, so don't ask any questions.
Well, I'm gonna say, tell tomorrow where we'll meet. Don't kill your dad. Yet.
5 more.
Stay safe. Please
safe.
stay safe.
Stay safe. Yeah. Good advice.
Alaris, I assume you're in the room.
Yeah, probably.
Also, I was just kind of sitting there at like at one of the desks by the books, probably, and just head like just slowly onto the desk.
Fuck. Hello?
Oh fuck, I didn't tell him the new kid wants to kill him.
We'll get to that. Don't worry.
Hello?
Forgot about
They-
that one.
Hello?
The gods are having a laugh, it seems.
Is that so?
Apparently, if I'm to take my interpretation correctly, Calda and Kane found some new siblings of mine and Kane's in Redmond.
Did they? And what's their disposition towards Roy, do you think?
I would assume not too dissimilar from, everyone else's. But
General dislike?
she can only describe so much in 25 words or less. It was more of a footnote, to be honest.
Fair.
They said they'd be back at the Player Forgets.
The 8th. They're
Yeah.
going to head out on the 8th, which would be about a day's journey or so through the forest if they went directly.
They're leaving on the 8th, should be here by at latest the 10th.
Why are we going to you? Don't we have to go to the plains?
I think they wanted to go originally around, like, to all the towns to get
Yeah,
information
we- yeah,
on the
we
plains
were-
Yeah.
first.
We were doing a go through from Verivel to Bear to Dior to Karad just
Yes.
for Information and perhaps
Roy?
finding a guide, but it seems we're quick on that. Still, though,
Yeah, if
it's...
Roy can find like information, we can meet back up in Resman. Or at
We
least like
could.
Karad.
Yeah, I'm thinking Karad. Because Resmond and Karad are the two closest to the plains, so I feel like more
Oh.
time should be spent there, as well as Kane
But I
level
feel like
up
we
in the
need to
best
have a
resources.
conversation before we decide on anything.
That is also
Yes.
true.
That's right.
And if we're going to do that clean sweep, if we can get more information, or if I don't know that, like it seems Ardra is one half of the party doesn't have to go anywhere, the other half knows exactly where they are,
Yeah.
and the second it leaves us more open to going to say Varavel or Bir or Dwar, whereas Karad it's like we could end up Alsan and Alaris going from Ardra all the way to Karad, and then we get to Karad and we talk and it goes, oh, we need something back at Varavel, and
Fuck.
Okay. Should we try possibly Dior or Ulaman then? Just so you guys can check out two different cities while we take the time to get there?
I suppose.
I guess we could go give it a look at Ulaman.
Yeah.
Oh, Alsan might want to go to Varavel, but also I feel like we need to have half the party here to have a proper conversation,
Yeah.
not a meta one.
See, this
You
is why
get
I
25
have Fane.
words per day.
Yep.
This is why I just put the Fane in my campaign, I swear.
Mhm.
Um,
The Fane was a very good addition. That being said, you guys do technically have some other options available
Yeah,
to you.
it was. Yep, the sending, or not sending, the mailing.
There's also
Um,
Dream. You
It,
can
it
find someone and
depends.
just be like, yo.
It depends on what kind of spells you might pick up. You have a druid. I'm pretty sure that Animal Messenger is a druid spell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And would be a lot more direct than your current modified version that bounces messages through Threshold.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
yeah, and it's ritual too.
I don't get just plain old message, do I?
Second level.
What?
Sorry, Animal Messenger, second level.
I
just
said
fucked myself.
message.
Message is a cantrip, and as
Or
Or
Right.
not message, sending. Fuck.
sending.
No, that is a cleric spell.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Not a paladin spell, though. Wait, let me check.
I mean, it's definitely not a fighter's.
You know what else I could do? Ooh, that could
Hmm.
work. That'll be something for the next sending, though.
Nope.
But Alsana could prep scrying and basically send a message to Calda to be like, I'm going to be looking in on you in the next 10 minutes, so one way explain everything that's going on your end.
That is
That's fun.
inefficient, but you need $1,000 thing. We have the money.
For scrying?
Yeah, scrying
Yeah,
is
you
like
need
the
Is it required?
expensive thing to look into. Yeah, it's a requirement.
1000 GP reflective surface.
Yes.
We have the gold.
Might be worth it in the future at least, but maybe not for right now.
Yeah.
Maybe we get something in Varavel, but yeah. Since it is the kind of morning, could Alsana have prepped Animal Messenger today?
You said that you were waiting until closer to noon to do the sending stones. I think you would have prepped your spells by then.
Yeah, alright.
Just going off what you said already. So,
Kane's just sitting there playing around with like little kids. He's like, yeah, man, y'all are great. Telling dad jokes to the 17-year-old. He's in a great mood.
Okay.
Hey, Golda. What's going on?
Can we talk? Can we talk about that? Caldo, like, lead him outside.
Sure, he'll follow outside, big smile on his face.
Don't be mad. I'm sorry in
There's
advance.
There is nothing you could say that could possibly ruin my mood right
Your
Someone-
dad's an Audra. Well, not your dad. Roy's an Audra.
Kane.exe is processing.
I want to have a glass shattering sound effect on hand.
No, it's more of a processing. Okay, so we should probably at least begin to keep Maxwell and Cayenne away from Audra in that case.
Yeah. Also, he may be able to help us get across the Howling Plains.
Well, if he has a use, then he has a use.
Are you okay?
I am numb with rage right now. And I'm
Wanna go
probably
take
gonna
a
go
look?
find Maxwell to spar with him. If you would like to
Wow.
join me so it could be a 2-on-1, that would be lovely.
Sure, because I feel like you went a little angry. A little more. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
A little more helpful-ish. So, I'll spar with you for a bit, and then we can
Let's
take
go
a
fi-
walk and calm down.
Let's go find Maxwell, just in case I forget that you aren't my father, and try to break you.
You
He
really
still has a
think you
big
can
smile on his
break me?
face.
You really think you can break me?
As I mentioned, numb with rage. You could stab me right now and I wouldn't feel it.
Oh, alrighty. I'll go tell Corin. We'll be right back. Let's go take a walk.
He will wait outside, big smile on his face, just saying hello to everyone who walks by him.
Look,
At a point, Maxwell does walk by and returns the hello with a cheerful greeting of his own.
Hey there, Maxwell. I'm looking to get out a bit of practice. I want to see if you and Calda against me would be a bit of a fair fight. You prepared for that?
Well, you're confident. Especially given what you've outfitted me with. But sure, I'm always up for a friendly go.
Compared to what I've got, you've only have a small armory. And Calda is a forge upon herself, so I think it'll be an even match.
Alright, I'm game. Stable yard looks like a good clean area, packed dirt, not many people go through. Want to cordon off a little bit of that?
Sure, let's try to keep away from the stable itself. Don't want to ruin the wood again. Spook the horses too much.
Oh no, definitely not. The two of you can go
Calda's
over
just
and
inside.
kind of scratch out in the dirt a little bit of a great big like box ring. It doesn't have to be huge because you are all melee fighters. You don't need loads of room to play around with.
Yep.
But you go ahead and do so. I do not have any kind of map for this.
Oh, I don't plan for this to be like a proper fight. Maybe just like 1 or 2 rolls.
Okay.
I was like gonna run in just like Corin. I'll be like 20 minutes. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go suplex someone
Oh, really?
for
Do
fun.
you mind? Do you mind if I come watch?
Oh, come watch.
Come on, kids. Let's go watch your mom beat someone up.
Ah, yes.
Such a wonderful
The
invitation.
kids are just like, yeah.
Actually, the oldest, my brain just dropped the name. Osmond?
Osborne.
Osborne. Osborne is just going, again?
What? I've gotten a little stronger. Come
Okay,
on,
I
Calder,
guess.
Calder, like, show the muscles a little bit, just flex a bit more.
Mom, you're embarrassing.
Ah, who's there around to embarrass
Gosh, Mom,
you?
your
Come
ultra
on.
violence is so lame.
Come on, I'll embarrass you in front of some actual kids. Come on, more embarrassing myself than anything. She's like ruffling his hair.
Mom, stop that. I'm not a kid. Kind of batting
17,
your hand.
you're my kid.
Almost 18. Pretty sure.
Soon.
But you guys head out. You gather up in the courtyard. Just for the fun of it.
We
No,
have a
that's
bit of an
very sad
audience.
music. Yep. There's not much of a crowd. It's just Calda's family initially, a couple of curious bystanders who come by. Cayenne ends up leaning against a post, and you kind of see her trade a few words with Maxwell and wish him luck.
Kane's gonna
Max.
take a couple crossbow bolts and fit them with blunt heads and pass them to Cayenne and just say, "If I need to stop and I don't, you have full permission to shoot me in the back of the neck with these." And he just puts them in her hand.
All right, noted. I'll let Max and Calda, is it? I'll let them
Yes,
give me the
Calda.
signal to stop.
That's probably a wise idea.
She loads up the bolts and holds it ready.
And Kane's just gonna go warhammer spinning in one hand, sword of thorns in the other, and just. Okay.
Kyle's gonna like hold up her sword like, oh, we're sparring.
He's just still same grin plastered on his face.
You see Max start to reach for the new longsword you gave him, then he hesitates and picks up the spear instead and says, I'd rather stick with what I'm comfortable with right now.
That's probably a wise choice.
Wouldn't mind you give me a few pointers on the longsword afterwards, though.
Oh, for sure.
All right. And Max exchanges a glance with you, Calda. He nods to the left, indicating he will circle around that way.
Calder will give a nod and try and just go straight on. Okay.
All right. Go ahead and each person roll a round of attacks or spell or whatever you would do in a round. Kane, of course, tell me who you are.
Oh, he's focusing fire down on Maxwell until he's unconscious.
Okay.
Oh.
Well.
Ooh. Does she notice immediately that Kane is going right for Maxwell?
It
Well,
is.
He is also incoherently yelling without stop until he's
Okay.
unconscious.
Well, Maxwell is going to return the favor on you.
Oh.
So, quick strength save.
Poor thing.
He knocks you to the ground.
All right.
But you did hit him actually a couple of times there. He's not too interested in moving around, though, at the moment, but still, with about 18 damage, I'm trying roughly keeping track on him. He's not looking too rough yet. Go ahead and roll another round of attacks.
Sure thing.
Actually, real quick, because Kane is on the ground, go ahead and each person roll the equivalent of initiative. Probably just a dexterity check. Just to see if Kane gets up off the ground before the others. Alright, Calda, you get advantage on any attacks on Kane. Kane can get up before Max can make another go at him.
Okay. Calder still probably wouldn't notice any directing, so she's gonna do 1, 2. What the fuck's up with my second sword?
Alright.
And Kane's gonna just hop up as the first one. But his arm class is currently 18.
Mhm.
Okay.
Just for reference. Should I be counting down damage or no?
If you care enough to see if he gets knocked unconscious before anything gets bad.
Yeah, I don't plan for us to roll more than rounds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4. This. He is still yelling.
Ooh. 7. Okay. So 47. You've dealt 58 points of damage so far, and disarming attack. Interesting. Strength saving throw. No, Maxwell keeps his grip. He's got a firm hand with weapons. So he's holding on fairly well. However, he's starting to look a little bit pressed. you see a furrow in his brow. Like he wasn't expecting you to go quite this hard. He starts to focus more on holding the shield in place, and deflecting. So the next round of attacks on him will have disadvantage as he is giving everything into a dodge action.
Can I take a quick wisdom save on that too for the frighten?
Oh yes, I did forget about that. Oh, actually, the 17 to hit disarming attack. Let's say the disarming was on a 22. 17 to hit, he parried
Okay.
and knocked the on track attack away. However, the frighten is a valid point. He's holding on. He's got a grimmer expression, but he's not actually afraid yet. You see in his eyes, he has not actually been cowed just yet. Calder, go ahead and have you noticed anything, and are you changing tactics at all?
I think she's noticing he's directing.
Mhm.
So she's gonna go, Kane! Fuck!
He's still yelling.
Stop!
Okay. Wisdom save, right?
That passes.
And with
passes.
disadvantage, he's just going to continue focusing down the other one.
Okay.
Calder's pointing to Kyan.
All right. Cayenne is going to take that signal, and she is going to. Oh, I don't have. Dang it! I don't have the crossbow set up on her sheet. It's
Dex
ranged
check.
weapon attack, so dexterity check plus proficiency. So 18 just hits.
Yep. And if she's rogue, she has sneak attack, so.
She does. So she's got the blunted bolt is probably just a basic D4 of bludgeoning damage. If that sounds well, it would probably be the equivalent to D6.
Oh yeah,
D6
it's not meant to be.
bludgeoning.
It's
Yeah.
basically just to change the damage type to non-lethal.
Plus another 4d6 bludgeoning. Rather sneak attack, so 16.
I'm just going to see if Kane notices that as the bolt to the back of the head.
She did do a great deal of damage, though I guess in your hit pool, that might not be
He's
much.
he's also resistant to bludgeoning, so.
Ah, true.
So that is a 11 in perception. So I'm going to say he notices it's the bolt. Let's see if he can get past the rage. What's my sheet? Adjust. Okay. I'll say he kind of like snaps out of it and just takes the breath and. Sorry about that.
You see Maxwell kind of braced behind his shield, looking over it at you. You good?
Yep, he's going to look at the 2 points of the weapons hit the ground. It's like, should I keep going or do you need a break?
I can keep going, just a little lighter, maybe. Didn't
Sure,
expect
he'll-
Directing, Kane.
I didn't expect a sprint match.
Apologies. Trying out a new berserker technique that I read about. Yeah.
It's effective.
You're also your back foot. You're not holding your weight properly. You got to push back with the shield. Just letting it bounce off won't be enough.
All right,
Otherwise, shock still goes up your arm. Makes your next swing less accurate.
all right. Take a swing. I'm gonna give it a try.
Sure thing. And he's gonna start holding back now and play a bit nicer with it all. He's gonna switch to a one-handed warhammer and shield. And just at that point, it'll be just a normal spar.
Yep. So, with that, we'll go ahead and swap the music back over to something a little lighter. As you guys switch over, and you give Maxwell quite a few tips and pointers as he stows the spear, pulls out the new, unfamiliar longsword. And I'll say between Kane and Calda, you guys managed to walk him through the basics of this weapon. He has a pretty good grasp on it, just seems to have sort of an instinct feel for it, though he's not had one of his own to wield till now. As you guys spar, I'll wait until Conrad is okay to hear. I'm not quite sure. Because it is a Kane question. Or maybe not. I'll just say Maxwell asks openly between the two of you. Okay. Maxwell asks during the sparring, just kind of openly, whether Kane or Calda. Is there a problem?
He kind of just smiles and goes, just travel plans have changed in a direction I'm not too pleased with.
Not heading into Galgaea anymore?
Calda?
Not sure, still need to hear back from our other two. See what's going to happen there, because they may have changes of plans. I'm not sure things are going to take us, but we're probably going to stay here until the 8th at that point then. Until we find, to the 8th or until we find out.
Well, shame, I guess.
Apologies.
Yeah. So, would it be best if we headed on ourselves first, or would you like us to stick around till the 8th just in case we traveled together after all?
I think it's best if we stick together for now, Calda, no?
Maybe if you want to go ahead in the next few days, I'll say I encourage it, but it's up to you. We know what they were saying until, but...
Kyan speaks up from the edges of this little ring that you've made. The 8th isn't too far off. Pretty sure we can afford a few more days. See if we can dig up any actual leads.
That seems like a fair point on your end, alright.
Alright, well. Good show. You're not gonna try to kill him again, are you? She asks Kane.
Not planning on it, but if you want some pointers with the crossbow, I can give you a hand.
I think I've got this thing figured out.
You sure I make a wonderful target.
I think maybe we put down the weapons for a little bit, Kane.
I'm gonna go do another walk around the town and taverns and see if anybody's heard anything.
Alright. Here, Maxwell, if you don't mind, I'll show you longsword techniques. You want to show me some spear ones? I haven't used them much.
Sure. It's been a while since I've actually tried to teach anybody anything, but alright.
Or if you prefer some, you use that shield quite well, and he kind of holds the lantern shield. Wonder how well that'll apply to this.
That's an interesting thing. That spike on the front would be nasty with this. Could I try?
Sure. Hand it over to him.
Yep. And he straps it on and starts testing it out. And makes a note that the weight and distribution is a little bit different, but he could work with it. And starts trying to teach you a few things about shield techniques.
Can I finally add proficiency to the lantern shield?
Yes.
Yes!
Congratulations. Congration.
I'm going to be a force to be fucked with.
If that's how you want to say it, I guess.
God.
All right.
Can I also add strength modifier to the damage or no?
I think I had no strength modifier because it was technically an offhand weapon, and you don't have dual weapon fighting
You are
style.
correct. So my brain went to Skyrim, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm a half-orc, therefore I can use two-handed weapons just fine. Totally.
Yep. Yeah, different games, different rules, I guess.
What does half-orc have to do with two wielding in Skyrim?
Yeah, normally you have a 20% deficiency with your offhand, but with half-orc rage, I believe it is, you don't have that deficiency anymore.
Back in this game, however, you do notice that Maxwell, despite using the shield in his offhand, does seem to be able to put quite a bit of force behind it. So, you know, maybe it could be learned in this one single instance. Eventually.
Tempting.
However, you guys have a couple of days to fill. So, with that in mind, how would either side of the party like to spend the rest of Grande the 6th, the 7th, and possibly the 8th, depending?
Kane's gonna try to pull Mac at some point.
Okay.
Call's gonna
But-
keep sending to Alsana.
All right. Let's fill up any activities that would take place on this first day, on the 6th, before you guys get sending back, before you can set spells for other things. So,
Alsana would probably go try and find Roy.
all right. Real quick, Conrad, you said Kane was pulling aside Maxwell?
Yep.
All right. Is there anything in particular you want from him?
Yeah, he's basically gonna ask Maxwell, like, how homicidal is Cayenne towards Roy?
She has some vials of very powerful poison, which she is intending to coat her knife with when she finds him.
And is she just intending to do damage and see what happens, or straight up murder?
He looks very uncomfortable. She. Her mom. Well, we don't know what it was, but it might have been, broken heart or something. She was, apparently really attached or something, and, well, maybe she just got weak, maybe she just got sick, maybe it really was his fault, but Cayenne definitely believes it is. So, she's very, well, eye for an eye, life for a life. I can't talk her out of it, and at this point, I'm not going to. I'm just going to have her back.
And that's a respectable choice. Well, maybe if I talk to her, Calder does, we bring it back down to attempted murder rather than just first degree.
Good luck with that. Frankly, I'm not sure at this point if she should be stopped, if it really was. He left them with nothing, and then her mom died, and she would have been a kid on the street if my family hadn't known them and cared and brought her in. Could have been a lot worse for her, and I think that she knows that, and she wants to make sure that he pays for that.
Believe me, if anyone understands, it's... I understand her feelings, for sure.
He leave you too?
In a bit better ways, I at least understood, but yeah. But,
I mean, if nothing else, be making sure he doesn't do this again.
it's not my biggest concern. Believe me, if it was... If you had asked me a year ago, this would have been a very different... Unfortunately, I've been forced to mature and temper some of the anger. In some ways, more efficient than others. I kind of glanced at any of the bruises he might have. So, I'm just hoping I can explain my thoughts well enough that she's willing to consider them.
Hmm. Well, you're welcome to try, I suppose.
And hopefully with Calda's ever so gentle hand, she'll at least hear us. Don't worry, I don't plan to cause any major conflict between anyone. If she chooses
Um,
not to agree, that's her choice.
Yeah, of course it is. Well, she'll be back
Time.
this evening if you want to talk to her. I'll let her know you're looking for her.
Please do. I'm gonna go find the brains of this operation. He's gonna go look for Calda.
I'll have you know I have no brains.
But yours is not clouded by rage.
Yeah, not angry doesn't mean smart. Okay.
And he'll kind of, if he finds her pretty easily, and can take a second to take her aside.
Hey, you feeling better?
Feeling calmer. Better will come with time.
That's fair. Better. Good that you're feeling calmer. It's a step towards better.
Mhm.
What's up there?
We should probably try to get Cayenne off the homicidal track. At least
Fuck, she wants to kill
attempt.
Roy.
She does.
I forgot to tell Asana that.
That's okay, you got time.
Yeah, I got a few days at least. That'd be funny if they just reached Audra and Roy was just stabbed in the street. That'd be pretty funny. I
It'd be
shouldn't be
fun.
saying that.
I can almost imagine him, tied up in some, not stockades, it's the incorrect term. People always use it wrong. I don't know why people that became a thing of the mind, but you know where the arms and the head's outside. I can almost imagine that, and she just takes a tomato, loads it into the crossbow, fills it with poison, and shoots it into his mouth.
Oh. Graphic, but comical.
Like I said, calmer, not better.
Eh, time hopefully will help a bit. But maybe. What are we gonna do about going with them and then running into Roy and then. Technically only have 50 words to play with at this point.
Well, I think it's safe to say it's. You told her about the half sister, right?
Yeah. Didn't tell him about
Half
the
sister.
homicidal.
Nope, he's gonna start counting on fingers. Half sister is homicidal, trying to talk her down. Meet in Audra on the 10th.
That's probably a good idea. Or we could meet in Varaville, because if they want to keep going to Varaville, I need to find out if Alsana's still going to go around and look for information. If we're all going to go do that, it's a thing.
I mean, we had 6 more words, so. Or, if preferable, Verifale on 11.
That works.
And that way we can take our time with it. And
That's very true.
if we head there and Cayenne can't be convinced, then well, let's try to give her a day's warning, so that Roy can prepare himself, write his eulogy and all that.
Yeah, there's probably like someone who'll write him a will at that point.
And if not, then well, he's an expert at running.
I don't know if he'll be able to run from a crossbow or anything from far away, but she looks stabby. Gonna be interesting.
Oh yes, it will be. Still not sure which I'll play in that conflict.
That's fair. Also, just a question of precaution for when we see him. Are you going to get angry, or are you going to get smiley angry, or are you going to get violent angry, or just angry?
Ideally, none of the above. Most likely, I'll just be more like when you first met me for a while.
Oh dear. Okay. Worst case scenario. Do we have a plan for this? I just want to make sure everyone ends up okay, especially you in this situation.
Well, I'll see him. We will, if he survives the wrath of Pepper, we will go through the Howling Plain. If he manages to survive the plains, we'll decide that.
Okay. That sounds fair.
And if it comes between any of you guys and him, just know that you will all be safe in my hands.
Oh, if he steps in front of me, I'm going to be like a mother bear with her cubs. Don't worry.
Oh, of course. Just if there's an angry giant and someone throws a rock and we happen to need a doorstop, I will find a doorstop in the shape of a man and I will put him there.
That'd be an interesting doorstop. One-time
It
use,
would.
but you know.
Worst case, I carve his skull out and we can use his skull as a paperweight later on.
Okay,
Sorry.
we're gonna go. It's okay.
Orc habits.
No, it's all good. Maybe
To
let's
be fair,
put
they
the
usually give them
weapons
gems
down.
and stuff. I don't have any
Okay,
weapons.
okay.
I don't need weapons for that.
We can put the weapons down, and how about we go for a nice scenic walk?
Wall.
No, we have to talk to Cayenne first.
And then we go for a walk.
Unless she starts running after. In which case, then we go for a run. But we'll see.
Then we go for a chase, bit of a run, bit of a bring back, then a bit of a walk. Oh,
Mhm.
yes, it's stupid.
Either way,
Alright.
all things end with the walk.
Yeah. That's very true.
All right. So your guys' day comes to a close. Pull back time a little bit. Elaris and Alsana, what have you been up to with this day?
Alsana was-
Following
oh, good.
following noon and the sending. Of course.
Alsana was gonna go find Roy. If she can.
Yeah.
You know the inn in town that he is staying at.
She'll head there.
Okay. You head there, you go inside. It's early afternoon if you went immediately.
Yeah, yeah, probably about.
All right. So it's actually fairly quiet in there. And you pretty quickly spot him at the bar, not sitting on a stool, but kind of leaning on it with one elbow and chatting with the barmaid on the other side.
She'll
unceasing.
listen from afar for a second.
Um, from the little bit that you've kind of jumped in the middle of, he seems to be talking about how he's been to so many places and seen all these wondrous things. And basically, he's a little bit bard bragging about, I've been here, I've been there, I am so well traveled.
Yep.
And just drinking in this whatever faint bits of attention and I guess not appreciation, not quite awe, but
Interest.
interest, a sense of being impressed that he can get.
Can Alsana give an insight for the barmaid to see if she's actually buying his shtick here, or if she's
Sure,
kind
go
of
ahead.
just like, oh yeah, okay, tip later.
Yep, go ahead.
Ugh, fuck.
It's a little hard to tell.
The whole
You
thing's
don't.
gross. She doesn't want to think about it.
Yeah, it's kind of giving into the heebie-jeebies because you know what he's after, and you don't want to think about that.
Yep. And she'll just kind of walk over and just she'll order a drink.
All right. Coming right up. And the barmaid breaks off a bit from Roy, who glances over you and then does a quick little double take, and you see his eyes get a little bit wide for a second. And
Still
then he
surprised?
smiles. Oh no, of course not. I just didn't expect to see you here.
I'll be honest, have a similar feeling in me. I've expected you to hightail out of here once you heard the talk of more of us coming.
More of us.
Your spawn.
Well, no, I wouldn't mind catching up with Kane, see how he's doing. You know, maybe he took after me a little bit. Curious.
She kind of shakes her head. If you mean profession, I think he has taken a step away from that, more on the orc side.
So more taking after his mother, then. Well, that's
Can't
all
say I
right.
would know.
Ah,
Though on the topic, can't say I would know who I take after either.
right, well, uncomfortable as this is there anything that you came here for? See if I'd run away?
Partial of that. I also want to. I'm trying to figure this out in my head. Why are you willing to help us? Why are you willing to wait here?
Curiosity, I guess. Could be an interesting story in it.
And that's your main motivator?
Do I need a reason to catch up a little bit with my children?
Under normal circumstances, a parent wouldn't know. But ours aren't exactly the average.
Well, if you don't want my help, then I'll be on
I
my
didn't
way.
say that. But you have to understand that oftentimes families don't have such a fragmented structure as ours.
All right. Then let's get to the curiosity. What are you after in the Howling Plain?
We're under work for Threshold. There's
Interesting.
a particular area we have an idea of, but we're not sure of the location or the exact. We have a way of knowing it when we see it, but as for where exactly it is or what it could be, other than just a kind of wellspring of some sort of magic, we're not sure. And we're in this area because we're intending to find some sort of guidance. Because wandering around a place like that isn't exactly how you keep yourself breathing.
No, it's usually not.
And you're serious about having been there before, yes? It's not just something you're drumming up for the sake of bragging and interest.
Alsana, you wound me. Now, I didn't go wandering back and forth it in some search for a magical font. I did do a more direct line. I had a goal, and I went there. I ran into a few adventures along the way, and maybe found a few things that might help.
For example?
I know to avoid certain places. I know to keep watch out for certain signs.
Can you give an explicit example?
Will it make me useless to you?
It'll give me confidence that you've been there.
Don't camp overnight in the ruins. Tend to be more ghosts there.
She nods. And where's the better place then?
Surprisingly, out in the open. Can't have a campfire, and you might want to find a way to make anything like tents less visible, but at the very least, you'll see anything coming just as well as it might see you.
And the howling is literal in all spots, in all senses?
Not entirely. Sometimes the ghosts howl, sometimes it's the hyenas, sometimes there are other beasts. There are some orc tribes. I never really got in good with any of them, but they let me be. I left them be.
Over the course of this, can she give an insight check to see if he's being honest with everything?
Go ahead.
Even if he is telling the truth, if he's kind of holding back on anything?
Go ahead, go ahead.
15.
He seems fairly forthright. He's not being super descriptive, of course, so he might be holding back on something, but you can't get a solid sense on whether he is or what it might be, if so.
Might be what he said about being useful or not, might not be, kind of thing.
Maybe. Maybe something else. Meh. It's not the best read you've done on a person. Part of it might be the strangeness of the situation and the fact that you haven't seen him in so long, and maybe also a little bit that insight sometimes involves metaphorically getting into somebody's head, and his head isn't a place you really want
Yep.
to get into. So part of you might be holding back a bit. You could also, if you think about it yourself, you might have a certain bias, so you're not sure how much that might be affecting your read on him.
On top of this, then, could she basically do a less of telling if he's lying, more of a fact check with things she might have heard about the Howling Plains?
I guess go ahead and do a history.
Alright. 18.
Yeah. Vague rumors tell of beasts, orc tribes, that checks out. There have been rumors and so forth of ghosts, though some of them have the flavor of old wives' tales or spook stories, the sort of boogeyman things that are like, don't go to that place, it's dangerous. Don't go to that place, the ghosts will get you. But from what he's saying, nothing seems to be jumping out as, oh, he is completely making up. There is no, ancient gray dragon of mystical properties. And no, there's nothing like that that's standing out to you.
No confirmed reports to the contrary, or even vague reports.
Yeah, no.
Alright. And you're fully intending to see that journey through with us? Or do you intend to get us halfway with a understanding of how to go about things and then quickly heading out?
Well, to be honest, a little bit of that depends on exactly where you're going to end up going. There's a few spots that I am not willing to return to, personal reasons. That being said, if those spots are useful to you, I can at least get you close and direct you the rest of the way.
And from there, if we did find ourselves in requirement of going in a place that you were less than enthused about returning to, or entering when you know you probably shouldn't, would you simply head over to, say, Moor or Resmond? Or would we find you in the outside?
Depends on what was closer. Might go to Resmond, might go to Bahara, maybe Karad, I'm not sure.
And you're confident enough in yourself to make the trek on your own again?
Of course. Done it once, how hard could a second time be?
Well, I mean, it's the saying you only live once for both reasons, isn't it?
That saying I take to mean, so live while you can.
Now, I'm sure you've no shortage of confidence in yourself. But with the overall frustrating lack of hard paperwork, documented reports on the place with how dangerous it's claimed to be,
Oh, it is. Believe me.
am I to take to understand then that you're more of the mystical kind of bard than simply one who can string a fiddle and sing a tune?
I might know a trick or two. Can't draw lightning out of the sky, but
Then what's the most you can do?
the most? Well, you see him make a little gesture, and then he just kind of leans back against the bar and looks at you and smiles.
Am I making a save here, or?
No.
She gives a glance around.
All right. You can do like a perception check if you're just looking around to see if anything in the environment's changed. If there's something else you're looking for, let me know. It might be
Does she know what what he just did? Like,
Arcana check.
yeah. Can I do Arcana and Perception?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Can I throw guidance on the Arcana since she's trying to actively figure out what he's doing?
Sure.
All right.
You make your own gesture and think back to the one he made.
So Perception on its own.
Oh, all right.
Arcana. 26, 24.
All right. Interesting. All right, I'm rereading the spell just to see there's nothing about perception. However, 24. He only used a somatic component. He didn't speak. He didn't seem to reach for any kind of focus. That being said, he does seem to have in his fingers, you hadn't noticed quite before, but kind of between them, kind of gently rolling them, a pair of polished bone dice. The little numbers, the dots on them glint silver in the light as they catch it. But as you look at him standing there at the bar and looking back at you and smiling, he says, well, you look around and you catch a faint shift of movement on the stool behind you. Like the stool itself very subtly rocked just a bit. Faintest creak. And let's double check one last thing I need to make sure of. Yeah. You realize that something about Roy's appearance looks faintly different. Not in any definable way, but you you get the sense that how do I put this in a way that makes sense for that perception and that arcana? You're pretty sure that was an illusion spell.
She kind of turns around to the motion on the chair.
Yep.
And gives a kick outwards in its direction.
Okay. Just for curiosity, go ahead and do a strength check at disadvantage. but with proficiency. Basically, it's a unarmed attack,
Ooh, this is not great.
but with
Five,
your proficiency. So
so that'd be 9.
yeah, uh, you
It's
don't.
she's not like
Yeah.
doing full force. She just kind of like
Okay.
tap.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't looking for damage.
Alright.
You tap out, but you don't hit anything. However, there's another subtle shift on the stool, and you hear a laugh from the empty air. Very good. Not many people see through that. And Roy shimmers into view in front of you, and look behind. One behind you had vanished.
So was it all in one, or was that a couple in a row?
That was all in one. I can do that. I can stop a monster in its tracks. I can make myself scarce very quickly, very far away.
That you can, and you can cast magic too.
I can also make camping a little bit safer.
Kind of raises an eyebrow.
Ever heard of something called the tiny hut?
Has she?
Roll a second arcana check.
Right. She'll guidance herself on that too if she's thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
20s.
28. You've heard of Laomed's tiny hut. You've read about it.
Yep.
You know roughly how it works, and that a number of creatures, medium or smaller, fit into this dome that is camouflaged, can't be broken into, can't be have spells cast into it.
Nice little arcane dome takes a password, I believe.
It's part of what got me across that plane in the first place.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, no need to keep watch if nothing can get to you.
Well, that would be rather useful.
So, my assumption is that our best bet, or your best bet if you prefer, would be to avoid any gnolls and their kind. Perhaps make contact with maybe one of the less aggressive orc tribes, see if they know anything about this elusive, indescribable, magical place that you're looking for. And if that fails, well, we hope that doesn't fail. But if that fails, then I direct you to a place I am not returning to. And a person who knows a lot about magic, but
It's not a witch or anything, is it? Hag?
Something like that.
You wouldn't have happened to have made a cheeky little better deal with her in your past, have you? Or,
I'm
God
not going-
forbid, the other thing you seem very intent on.
Well, no, not quite my type, though.
Insight.
I will say she was very interested. Go ahead and insight.
23.
There is a faint look of a little twist of disgust on his face. It's not his type. He
Alright.
didn't. However, there is there is an unusual discomfort at the edges of it. So you also believe him when he said that she was interested.
A bit too close for comfort, I think.
Oh, she certainly tried to get too close for comfort.
Once in your life there was an opportunity and you did not seize it. I am impressed at your self-control.
Yes, well, a smell like that.
Oh, I'm guessing you decided to go for the boulder not too far outside then, instead.
Well, of course not. That would be very uncomfortable. No, I made it back to civilization quickly as possible and found a warm bed.
Well, be lying if I said I wasn't somewhat interested in meeting a powerful arcane user, though I have heard less than favorable stories about their kind.
Hmm.
I'm guessing you got away with your entirety of your body and soul intact merely because she was interested.
Well, I'm a very charming person.
Unfortunately.
That being said, given she might be a little disappointed if that route is taken, don't mention her to me to her. Just leave me out of it entirely. It'll probably it'll probably be better for you, honestly.
I'm guessing you didn't leave on favorable terms then.
Well, of course not. She wanted something and I didn't give it to her.
For once on the other end, is that right? That
No, I,
aside,
I usually get what I want.
that aside, how frequent are dead bodies in the plains?
Fairly. The number of things that roam around just wanting to kill whatever they come across.
Humanoid dead bodies, intact.
Frequently. Gnolls and orcs. The occasional unlucky but daring traveler.
Good to know then. Any particular flora or fauna that are deceptively dangerous? Don't pet the
Not that
small
I
rabbits, otherwise they bite your hands off.
don't go near the dogs on the horizon. They probably aren't dogs, and if they are, they probably are going to be a lot more than you can chew, and you are going to be just right for them.
Alright. Now let's move this conversation to a bit more discomfort on your end. Where did you last see my mother?
Danager. Or
In
rather, north of it in Deep Thicket.
Is she staying in a particular place?
Probably. Look, she's part of the I don't know, there's this group that acts kind of like protectors of the forest. I don't know what their living arrangements are like. She didn't exactly invite me into any community or home. I ran into her and a few others on a patrol of theirs. After which they very firmly escorted me out.
She... From the bit you talked to her, did she seem overly concerned with my status?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. It's been a while since she and I were close. She always was a bit cold and closed off. And she wonders why I went elsewhere.
Does that mean there was a consideration for you to not be on the move at all times?
Consideration?
Was I
Perhaps.
intentional?
Well, we weren't exactly planning on you so soon. Honestly, I don't know. I was young. I believed at the time that marriage was the way that everybody went. And so, of course, we hit it off. We got along well. I proposed when things took turns. And then there was you, and then things changed a bit. And then there was someone else, and she was interesting, different, aggressive,
Orcish.
little fiery. I couldn't help myself, you know. It's just the attraction was too much. Besides, I was young. Why limit myself before I had even officially tied the knot? There would there would have been time afterwards, but then your mother found out and didn't see reason. Broke it off and ran off into the woods.
And with the other one?
Apparently, I was less her type than I'd thought. She thought that, well, I assume she enjoyed herself, but in the end, I wasn't strong enough blood for the tribe. And of course, neither was my son, so I was left with the two of you and tried to figure things out. Of course, I'd always wanted to wander and travel, but held back for a number of years. And I went out, did my work, and sent some money back, and, well, you know the rest.
And what if, hypothetically, things hadn't changed as much with her?
Hypothetically. Who knows? If things hadn't changed, maybe maybe we would have gotten married. Maybe I wouldn't have been so entranced by another. I'm not sure I ever could have given up travel for all my life. But hypotheticals, useless.
Alright.
All that matters is now and whatever chance is going to give us in the future. He just kind of stops rolling the dice in his fingers and clack, clack, clack drops them on the bar. They come up double sixes. He kind of smiles to himself, scoops them up.
They're weighted, aren't they?
He looks at you, he smiles, gives them a rattle and a shake, rolls them again. Clack, 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 clack. Double ones.
They're magical, aren't they?
Not necessarily. Picks them up, rolls them. Clackety clack. A 6 and a 2.
Right. I believe one of you doesn't make your own fate. If you'll indulge me one more what if.
You indulge yourself one more what if. So what is it? What if you hadn't been born? What if I hadn't traveled? What if you hadn't run away one day?
What if Cain hadn't been born?
I think the first what if might have covered it. But you mean if there had been the little of the fling on the side and your mother had left as usual, but there was no child from it?
She nods.
Hmm.
Would
Well,
you have thought it feasible to bring a young girl along for your travels? If it was just one?
not really. Not too young. And I imagine it would have been a little bit hard to work a performance at a tavern and watch after a toddler at the same time. But if it makes you feel better, perhaps.
There's like a shift in her face, and she's, I need to go. And she just gets up and walks out.
As you walk out, what is most on Alsana's mind at the moment, on the surface?
Cheeky bugger. Um, she's worried she might not hate him as much as she thought.
All right. Interesting.
And there might be some placed otherwise. Be it fate of the world or her brother.
All right. With that, you go on your way.
She heads back to the library.
Mhm. It's not quite a library. It is technically a bookshop focusing in repair, but also buying and selling older books.
Bookshop.
But yes. You might find Alaris there, unless he's done something else with his day.
No, he's just sort of helping around the bookshop.
Okay.
She walks over, she scoops up the cat.
Mhm.
Quiet you. And she goes in a corner, sits down, and just kind of holds it there.
There is a faint grumble from the cat, and then it repositions itself on your lap, curls up, and you feel a faint rumbling start.
She'll just sit there a bit. Think about things.
Right. Alaris, is there anything you wanted to do with this day, or are you just helping out around the bookshop, catching up with your brother?
Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Kemfren seems to be doing really well.
It's good.
He seems happy.
Good.
He might tell you a little bit about how he and Varys met, and how originally it had been kind of a shared interest in books that drew them together, and Kemvren picked up a little bit more of bookbinding and repair, and Varys was already well on his way to being an illuminator and doing his own work on books as well.
Yeah.
How they got together, how they set up their shop. Nyx is there as well, just starting to settle in. Not quite starting to learn the artistry side of things. They're currently showing her through the basically the front of house of the bookshop, helping customers, the smaller, busier work that she would have to learn first. But she seems happy as well with where she is and what she's heading towards. Interestingly, in the course of conversation, Elaris,
Yeah.
they're talking about a few of their usual customers, and Kemvren mentions that one of their usuals hasn't been seen in town in quite a while, a few weeks. They're getting a little bit worried about her. They say she was a quiet, a little bit private young girl, young woman named Serafina. She was a good customer, loose paper and ink mostly, loved books. Last anybody knew, she was potentially being pursued by a young man romantically. Then they both vanished into the wood.
Does Losana hear any of this?
Roll a d20 for timing. The
Alright.
higher, the better. I'll say you come in and collect the cat and sit down, and you're sitting for a little while, and then your ears just catch a little bit at the end of this, as they're moving from the back room into the front, carrying a few recently refurbished books to put on the shelves for sale.
She'll get up, kind of holding the cat. Walk over. If Lars is looking, he might see the slight streak of makeup just in the corner of her eye, not all the way down, but a little bit.
Okay.
Just look over and... It's Serafina, you said.
Yes.
Pursued by a young individual.
I don't suppose, being from the forest, you might have run across them. Any chance?
She kind of like gives this like grimaced look over to Alaris.
We know she's comfortable in the woods. She's been in and out before and been fine, but it's usually not been this long.
Does she... And she gives like a brief description of what she thinks she looks like.
And what does Alsana think she looks like?
The lady they met in the woods, the necromancer lady.
Yeah, you give a description of that, and Kemvren's nodding along. Yeah, that sounds like her. Young man's name was Wyatt, if that helps.
Oh, no, I'm aware.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry. She might not be returning.
Oh, so, did they elope? Or...
She kind of like gives this like look on her face, just...
Oh.
She... Do you want the easy truth or the whole truth?
He sighs, puts down the books. The expression on his face has gone from kind of a joking grin to something more serious. I think I got the gist of the truth, but... You don't have to ease me into it. What got her?
Herself. She was, I assume, not the average person she might have put up the visage of when around you. She was angry, cruel. Took Wyatt's life. And rose him up as a member of the living dead.
Oh. Kemvren puts the books further, more firmly to the side and puts a hand over his face. Oh, Sarah. You little idiot. Are you sure? You sure it was her?
I gave the description, yes. We were the ones to confront her. What she had done. The gods are having quite a chuckle this day with how things are turning out.
Well, if that's true, then
She had to be stopped.
we should, someone should tell the town constable and guard and have her house cleared. It's, been empty for, well, all this time now.
Would you... Do you think they'd be open to an investigation of it? The town, that is.
There's an accusation of, necromancy. They'd have to.
Would they be willing to have someone else handle it? one potentially trusted by the nearby guardians of the Sorenwood? Oh, not Soren. Greenwaterwood.
There's a kind of a expression on his face underneath the sorrow. You can put the offer forward. But even if they allow it, they are going to insist that at least one guardsman will be present.
She nods. I want to make sure there wasn't any loose ends from her that I'd be. It's my duty, if anything, to tie up if she was a necromancer. And a direct involvement, and while I have I know a person who knew her, so if there was to be further into looking into what she could have done, now we're in the future, I might be a good candidate.
Well, make the suggestion and the report. I can direct you to the main guard outpost here.
Would you be willing to accompany me as a trustworthy source? Such that
Yeah.
I'm not just a random druid kind of strolling in and saying I know a person's dead.
Yeah, I can do that. We'll take care of it after we've cleaned up a little bit here and
Right, of course. I am sorry for this. For you.
Oh.
Do you know if she had any family?
not here. Yeah, she moved into town a few years back and got herself a place.
And she nods.
She didn't really talk about herself much, so
Alright. Well, I mean, at least thank you for giving us this information. It's good to be able to put at least a bit of a bookmark in this one.
and at least we know what happened.
She didn't have any unpaid rental fees or anything, did she?
No. No, she always paid in full and upfront. Loose paper and ink, mostly.
Alright.
John, maybe watch your mic there.
Sorry.
Yeah. And Alsana will just kind of wait around, maybe go grab something to eat
Mhm.
until they're ready to go give a report.
Late afternoon, evening, you head out, you find the little, like, almost hole in the wall closet of a guard's office near the center of town.
It's a bit small, isn't it?
Small town.
Mm.
We
I
don't have
suppose,
very
but-
much need.
Like, is
There's
there like
there's
two
us-
guards?
5, but usually no more than 2 on shift at the same time.
Hmm.
I believe they've got an opening and are looking to fill it.
I'll be on the lookout.
So you head in, knock on the door. The single guard on shift for the late evening looks up from the desk where he doesn't seem to be doing anything terribly important as you see him very quickly, like. Sorry.
Wasn't sure if that was in character or not.
Nope. My throat's dry and it caught. Very quickly shuffles a paper out of view and go ahead and roll a quick perception.
I was gonna say if he's hiding something. 17.
Yeah, sure. It's enough for you to catch a glimpse of that looks like some kind of doodle. That's not important documentation. The lines are all wrong for writing. Um,
She like gives like a, despite the fact that she's been taken off, like knocks on the inside of the door.
Yep.
Excuse me,
He's
I think
he
we've.
stands
Oh, sorry. Good.
he stands up quickly. He's tall, he's lanky, he's gangly, he's all elbows and knees, and ears sticking out on either side of his freckled face, and just this curly mop of sandy brown hair on top of his head.
Human.
Human. And a human who looks like he might just barely have made 18 years old recently. Maybe.
Apologies for the interruption, but I think we've got some proper paperwork for you.
The captain isn't, he'll be back on duty in the morning, but I can take any paperwork and I'll file it for him.
Out of curiosity, what was the work you were doing before? And she kind of like walks over and like leans on the desk.
Very important guardsman work, and he puts his hand on the stack of papers and leans on it.
She like
Guard-
tries to
guard-
squeeze out the one piece of paper he put under it.
Guard's eyes only, ma'am, please.
Oh, come on, I'm sure you'll find it. Whatever you're doing.
Nope, guardsman's eyes only, please,
I
ma'am.
won't tattle, I promise.
No. I cannot. Nope. Can't let you do that, ma'am.
Please, dear.
Roll persuasion.
I'm sure it's not that much of a problem. 9.
Nope. Now, if you're going to if you're going to be a problem, and he tries to artificially deepen his voice, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, ma'am.
You're doing terrific, dear. And she just kind of like pats him on the side of the arm. And she kind of walks back. So, should we give it to him, or should we wait for the captain?
Kemren shrugs, looks over, and says, "You'll get this to the captain in the morning." "Yes, sir. Will, sir. For sure, sir." He looks over at you. "Well, it depends on whether you want to be there to talk to him or whether you think a missive is going to be enough."
I think I'd like to talk to him personally before any decisions are directly made.
All right.
Can you give a missive to the captain stating that there is a word of the current status of Seraphina?
All right. Yep, I can do that. I can do that, ma'am.
Woman in town and can be verified by out of character. What you said the character's name and I forget it.
Which character? Kemvren?
Yeah, Kemvren.
Kemvren.
Yep.
Kemvren Thunderfist.
Yep.
Okay.
And can be verified by Kemvren. And I can be found over at the bookstore. Damn it! I thought I had it.
Black Cat Books.
At the Black Cat Books.
And you see this kid with his hand still pressed down on the stack of papers, nodding, kind of blankly.
And she
Until
just kind of like makes a
Kemvren-
writing motion on her hand.
And Cameron was just about to say, and the boy, he startles and scrambles then for a clean, clear sheet of paper, gives up after a bit, and flips over what looks like a lunch receipt and starts scribbling on the back of that.
Oh, bit low on paper. Maybe you should send an order into this guy.
Requisitions will be dealt with by the captain, but I'll add it to the note. And he makes a little asterisk at the bottom and low on paper.
Be sure not to tell him why.
Don't know what you're talking about, man.
Look, if you're going to live your life doing your job with that much seriousness. You're gonna burn out by the time you're 22.
Um,
Just
I-
the shoulders are up way too high. Just let them relax a bit.
if anything, the shoulders tick a little bit higher.
Fine, do it yourself. Don't be complaining when you have wrinkles by your pre-30s. She walked out the door.
All right. Kemvren heads back with you. And with that, the night passes. The next morning, anyone preparing certain spells can do so.
Messenger.
Yep. And you also have your use of the sending stones back.
Have a
Yeah.
conversation.
So, what would you guys like to do with this day? It is the 7th day of quietude.
Also, I was gonna grab these stones. Grab the stone.
Really quick before that would happen, did we happen to find Kyan?
Yes, in the evening. I'm sorry, I did forget.
Yeah,
Thank you
no
for reminding me. Yes. Previous evening, I'm sorry, roll back a little bit. Yep. Kyan is told that Kane would like to talk with her. So, Kane, Kyan finds you perhaps in the main room of the tavern and the inn that you're staying at.
I assume he's got Calder with him, yes?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Called will be back.
Kind of just sitting down and kind of. Are you in the mood we can have a difficult conversation, Kyan?
She kind of gives a shrug. Well, I guess. I'm a little frustrated. Didn't find any leads, but honestly, at this point, that's normal. So, if that's not a mood for any difficult conversation, then it might never be. So,
Well,
what's up?
now's as good a time as with Rory, is your intention purely homicidal, or is it injury and revenge?
She gives you a kind of a weird questioning look. It's death and revenge.
Both, or either or?
I'm pretty sure they're hand in hand. Why?
Just, well, forgive me for my assumptions here. Not like I've seen him any more recently than you have. But someone in Rory's position is not someone who's thriving. This is a self-destructive path he's leading himself. And I don't expect you to forgive him. But I don't think you killing him will be the punishment you think it is. It might make you feel better for a week, but then you'll be in jail, and that's too live. If you really want to ruin him, there's better ways to do it. It doesn't require you going to jail for nearly as long.
I don't have to go to jail. I can just find him out in the field and do it there.
Potentially. And you'd probably get away with it for a while. Probably forever. Then what?
I don't care.
You think you're good? Kane's just gonna level this heavy look at her. You don't care what happens next to you, or you don't care what happens next because you'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
Look, I'm not gonna pretend like I can stop you. I'm not gonna pretend like I want to stop you. Just consider that if you really want to get back to him, there are far better ways. And
Like
just
what?
think it's probably...
Name one.
Well, if I asked you to confront all of your anger and rage and try to come to terms with it, it'd be rather painful for you, would it not?
I don't think it's rather painful. I think that it's not going to happen.
Right. Because it's effort that you're not willing to put in because you don't care for. Wouldn't it be so much more fun to force him to come to terms with what he's done? Force him to have to own up to what he's done? Rather than just simple revenge.
No.
Why not? Do you really think you're getting some kind of justice out of this, or is this just flashing?
Well, yes.
Really?
Look, if a murderer kills a person and they get hanged, how justice works.
And if a whore creates an extra life but kills the mother, isn't he neutral?
That's not how that works.
Neither is your scenario. In a murderous scenario, it's because... Oh. There's debates. Personally, you could argue that the murderer situation is only worth it because there's reason to believe they'll repeat the action. If you want him to pay due diligence for the pain he's caused, you'd turn him into a eunuch, force him into some kind of magic academy that can try to work with his magic to teach him how to do it properly, or force him to confront the fact that he has multiple children that he really should be supporting because he is the cause of them. Make him deal with the fact that he caused potentially the death of someone else, and let him come to terms with that, rather than just attacking him. We hang a murderer to stop another murder. We don't kill a whore to prevent another child.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Sure.
19. All right. Yeah. Okay. You kind of see Kai. She had this resolute expression. She was very defensive. She's starting to waver a little bit.
See? Hurts to
No.
confront yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, how am I supposed to make him confront anything? How would you do that?
Exactly how I plan to when I see him next. I force him to realize the pain he caused. And if he chooses that he doesn't care, then I give him due diligence for the pain. I don't take his life. But he's doing this, at least if I were to assume how any man would do something like this. Lead himself down a self-destructive path of whoring around, gambling, drinking, traveling because he has no direction. If he realizes that this is consequences more than just him, then good. Possibly he can change. But if all he cares about is him, then we make sure we hurt him. Make him own up to the... Maybe get the investigators to look into all the illegitimate children he's not taking care of. Maybe looking at your mother. Make him realize that he caused someone's death. Someone he... And he can try to confront me. And also my sister.
And also me.
And you,
And
if you
Max.
choose to be there.
Oh, I'm
Of
gonna be
course.
there.
Good. We're meeting him soon. Make your decision.
Meeting him where? When?
Not sure. But if you want to find him, come with me.
I'm definitely... Yeah, you're not... I am not
That's
letting
what I
you out of
thought.
my sight.
And he'll stand up and just place a hand on her shoulder. Then realize I'm doing this for your sake. I don't give a shit if you can be better than he is. It's not worth the. Like it or not, he may not care about family. I do. I'm your brother. I want things to be better for you. If anyone's gonna kill him, it'll be me. And it won't be the first time I've snapped a family member's neck. So, I'd rather you live well, he live short, and I deal with the consequences later. Am I clear?
I can at least shoot him in the nuts, right?
Castrate him. I don't care.
Good.
But do it in a way that you won't get caught.
Hmm.
And I need him for a while. He's useful.
Fine. Fine, I won't go for his throat the instant I see him.
As long as you leave him alive after, I couldn't care. Just realize there are much more efficient ways to hurt.
Yeah, alright.
One of those blunted bolts to the nuts would work. It's like an initial thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after he's done being useful to me, I can think of a few things I'd like to do as kneecaps, but we'll worry about that after. And his traveling days for a while, I'm sure he wouldn't be missed too much around the city. But we are creatures clouded with rage, maybe. If you want to break him or fix him, you go after the mind, not the body.
Not really one for mind games, but okay.
Then let him make his own game. You'd be surprised how much self-loathing I create.
You better be right about this.
It's a better option than murder. For now.
Just so you know, if it doesn't work, my plan A is now my plan B. It's still in the cards.
Sure. Like I said, if that's your plan, I can't stop. But from someone who's lived through this path of anger and rage for long enough, I figured I'd give an opinion.
Right. Anything else?
Tell Maxwell I apologize about the bruises. Like I said, anger and rage.
He's taken worse lumps. But, I'll pass it on.
Good. Be better
Better
than
go.
we are.
Yeah.
Learn from my mistakes.
Alright. Cayenne gets up and heads into the back, the rooms, check up on Maxwell, and turn in for the night. So now, we are...
Real quick, just
Yes.
one last comment.
Yes.
Kane will just kind of turn to Calda. And then just kind of give her a hug and just start sobbing into her shoulder.
You did well.
Unable to speak at the moment.
Alright. The next morning. Who is contacting whom?
Son will rep the stone in the morning.
Okay. Calda, I assume you still have the other?
Yep.
Okay.
Alright. Let me think for a second.
Yes. Formulate your message.
Okay. Yep, she'll send a message. His planes knowledge is legitimate. His magic keeps us safe. We will stay in Audra. We'll decide path upon your arrival. Also, Necromancer lived here. 25.
All right. Any response from Calda? Go ahead now.
Okay, it's the 7th today, or is it the 6th today? 7th?
Today is the 7th.
Alrighty. We'll leave tomorrow. New sibling has friend. They're traveling with us. Sibling is homicidal towards Roy. Think under control. See you. I don't know how many words that is.
I think you're on 21.
I think I'm on 21 too. See you in a few days.
Let's say in is one. Oh, no, it fits. Never mind.
You're good.
You good? You did it.
All right. So, with those messages sent and received, let's go ahead and start with Elaris and Alsana. You doing anything today?
What is Alsana doing today?
um, she might go ask Alaris's brother about wanting to come see the captain. Maybe ask Alaris if he wants to come with as well.
I'll come with.
You were there. You could give a description as well.
Sure.
Yep. After breakfast and kind of as Varys and Nyx open the shop up, Kemvren heads out on this errand with the two of you.
Thank you again for coming.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Like I said, this is just it's a thread I'd like to chase, if only out of my own responsibility and curiosity. I assume they arrive.
Yep. You guys get there. Instead of the gangly boy on the night shift, you find an older man, a little bit more grizzled and worn. He's got a bit of a paunch on the front of him, under the leather armor he wears. And he looks up as you enter and kind of flips over that receipt note and spins it towards you on the desk and says, "This be you?"
Indeed. It's good to be able to talk to someone who's above 20.
Yeah, well, Ralphie's good, but new blood.
Yeah, he really... If he was giving more off any more of the new recruit vibe, I'd be concerned bandits would feel this is a vulnerable spot.
He'll settle in.
I hope so.
Like wearing a new set of shoes. They pinch for a week and then they're fine. So.
I don't wear shoes so thin. Anyways, I have here, 10 Rufus brothers who can corroborate my story. or at least one of them can, and the other can trust his brother, and as a member of your area, legitimacy.
All right. Cut it close. Come on. What are the details?
They're not pretty ones. Serafina.
I'm not a pretty man. Move it along.
um, Serafina was into the necromantic arts. And she wasn't exactly amiable and benevolent about them. I don't know if you were aware of her with that brief fling she had with a younger man, Wyatt.
Vaguely. Heard the rumors.
She killed him and rose him up as a member of the living dead.
Huh.
And as well as, I think it was 2 ogres, the corpse of 2 ogres she was toting around as well as bodyguards. We cleaned up her mess and stopped her as she needed to be.
Right. I'll go roust one of the boys and we'll give her house a look.
I was...
You stay in town. We might have more questions.
Here's the thing, I was actually wondering if perhaps I could, aid in the investigation in her residence. I'm not sure.
Don't usually allow it, but I
I'm
want
a
to keep an
member
eye
of
on
the
you.
Druids of the Greenwater Wood. Dealings are specifically in undead, and she was a bit in our territory.
Well, in that case, I suppose she would have been. Right. You can come along.
Also have knowledge of the arcane, so if she perhaps trapped our house with any odd runes or anything of the sort, I could be an asset in that front.
Always useful to have a wizard along. Sure.
Druid.
Come
but-
on, let's go. Whatever. All the
It-
same.
It's all magic, right?
Wand wavers. So, let's go and he flips over some papers. Fred. Yeah, he's got a free spot. I'll go get him and we'll head on over and check this out. You boys coming? Kemvren holds up his hands and says, I've got a shop to get back to if you've got this handled. Looks over. Nalaris?
I'm pretty sure I have this handled.
Alright, I'll see you guys back at the shop.
Thank you
Yes.
again. Till next I said hi.
I will. Turns and heads back out.
Alright, so Fred.
See the captain gathering up a couple of supplies, kind of a battered shield, a spear that looks like it's seen better days. Right, got my gear. Anything you need to collect?
I've got all on me, Alaris. I think you've got your crossbow on tap.
Of course.
I think
Well then. Keep the safety on that crossbow. I've had enough of being shot in the back of the leg.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
don't worry.
Marches off. There's a faint, very old limp,
Ooh.
baked so hard into his step that it almost seems just natural.
Hmm.
You might not have noticed it, except that he said something.
Right.
Is there a story behind that shot in the back?
Back when Fred was a newbie.
Oh no, Fred. Should we take that as a warning if we're going to be working with him?
No, he learned his lesson.
I would hope so.
And he learned it hard.
Well, that's good to hear. She's like trying to hold herself together.
His- I can tell you his pants were brown by the time I was done with him.
Oh,
Okay.
a little too much information there.
All right. Was
He
there
is marching off down the streets, and you guys are just keeping up.
was there any previous infractions Serafina had incurred in her stay here?
Nope. Quiet girl kept to herself.
No reports of odd noises or flashing lights from her residence?
Not that anybody ever brought up.
Hmm.
He steps up to goes down like a couple side streets, steps up to a door. Bang, bang, bang. Fred! Get out here! On the double, we've got a situation! You're
This is a halfling?
a man, a little bit on the shorter side, a human, but a little bit
How
of
did I know he
a
was short?
a little bit of a paunch on him.
This seems like the emotional equivalent to having a truck because you're self-conscious about your height.
Oh, height's what you're self-conscious about.
This guy would absolutely drive a truck. Are you kidding me? And
Probably
she's,
had like a pair of like testicles
You-
on the back or something.
Beat up old pickup.
Yep. Music always super loud.
one door the wrong color.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
A little bit too much of it is held together by rust and baling wire. Anyway,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
there's a little bit of a crash and then a loud swear from inside.
NASCAR bumper sticker.
Clump, 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 clump noises, and a answering bellow out an upper story window. What is it, Greg? Greg bellows back. We gotta check out a house might have a necromancer. God damn it, this was my day off! The window slams shut. You hear more rustles and thumps, and Greg just kind of leans against a post outside.
Oh, I
He'll
hope
be
he
just a
doesn't-
minute.
I hope he doesn't blame me for this. Please don't.
Worst he'll do is cuss you out.
Please don't phrase it in a way that blames me for this.
A moment later, the front door opens, and Fred, a taller man, not too much thinner, comes out. Less gray in his hair, but still looks like he might be like middling aged. He is still like tightening a strap on his breastplate and kind of has his spear pinched between his shoulder and his ear. As he's holding his neck at an odd angle to keep it in place while he finishes fumbling with straps and buckles and steps out down the front step, drops his spear into his hand. All right, where is this?
Evening, sir.
Who are you?
Druid of the Green Water Wood. I'm one who kind of discovered the issues coming about with Seraphina.
Reporting civilian and gonna be a little bit of magic support for us. So's the other guy. And Greg starts marching off down the street. Fred falling very quickly into step behind and beside him. Greg rattles off a number of very terse comments, filling Fred in. While Alaris mutters behind you all.
Yeah.
And
Alexanthus the Canet. We're busy.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of something. He's looking at the black sphere that I forgot to do the check for.
Go ahead and do that check as you walk.
Oh, you're doing that? She pokes him with guidance.
Yeah. What check is it again? Charisma?
Charisma.
Okay.
And you're getting guidance because, oh no.
That was bad. That was immediately bad.
She goes to
Oh,
poke
wait,
him
wait,
with
wait,
guidance
wait.
and he...
No, wait. Before you... I did honestly think of this before this session, but because we missed last week, I did forget. I was going to give you your third check at advantage because you had... I did forget and you caught me off guard.
Right.
You do get to roll that again.
Okay.
I genuinely was
16.
planning on that. Roll
Four.
guidance. You have a chance.
Slash R1D4.
Ha.
Damn it! 18.
Not quite. Yep.
Damn it! The DC is 20.
Asana goes to like poke you, and you like just barely dodge out of the way of her jabbing you in the eye by accident.
Crap. Okay. Okay. I'm not quite there, but I think give me 1 or 2 more days, hopefully.
Yep, but each subsequent check for that is at advantage because you figured out you've pretty much gotten it spot on twice.
Yeah.
You kind of know what you're doing. You just need one last push.
Yeah.
Have you tried chewing on it? She
Are you
keeps
poking
walking.
Out of character, are you hoping for like a forward situation where this is like the unorthodox right answer?
I'm thinking Ed in a situation and it's a big jawbreaker that's gonna change color.
Just looks Xanthus dead in the face and just puts it in his mouth.
No,
No,
put it in your
no,
mouth!
no,
Put
no.
it in your mouth! Spit it out!
No, stop it! Just Loris runs off. What is in your mouth?
Misty steps away.
What is in your mouth?
Oh. Anyhow, back to current events.
This morning, Lars woke up from a fucking nightmare. He just thinks back to this walking and shiver goes up his spine. As they're going as well, so I'm just... now that you're up to date, also, out of curiosity, do either of you happen to know if she had any, family, extended or otherwise? I know she moved in here kind of on her own.
Nope, not a clue.
Well, there's that. I feel like the gods are being very difficult in this instance.
Okay, you want a message from gods? No family. Stop barking up that tree. Message received?
Message received. I figured I was gonna stop it there already.
Okay. You guys,
Yeah, you know what?
March-
She always had this dad she was talking about never knowing.
You know what? I can mute him.
Did you do it?
You muted Jeff.
I'll bring him back.
Oh my god. you're
Okay.
so muted.
You can be back in now. You had your timeout.
That was Ariel. I have never appreciated you more than I did
I
in that
love
moment.
that.
I
That
just
was
want to go,
amazing.
oh, I can mute him.
Oh, I can mute.
Silence.
Just
Please
the
let that
power.
be- The power.
How do I quote silence?
I'm gonna pay for this someday. You quote it
Um,
with an ellipsis, probably.
Wait, don't you and
Fair.
Devin have the same role?
Yes. The only person who can't be muted by you two is me.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Listen.
you guys march up to another house. It looks charming, actually. Not too much different from various others. I think we just lost Conrad briefly.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back. Looking at it, you wouldn't think necromancer. You probably wouldn't even think mage or magic user.
Hmm.
Simple wooden door, whitewashed wooden walls, a little bit of a fence, tiny herb garden, but of the sort that you would see for kitchen use. Kind of in a trough of soil outside the front door. The usual basil, parsley, rosemary, things like that. You see the two guards go up to it. Greg lifts a hand, hammers on the door, waits for a moment, shrugs. Matter of course, just in case there was anybody inside. Right, let's open this up. And Greg steps aside, Fred goes up, puts his shoulder against the door, and just with a heavy thump, forces it open. It seems that it was only kept by a fairly simple latch lock. There wasn't any heavy bar on the inside that would stop them. And so the house is opened. There is a thin layer of dust inside. Just enough to suggest a few weeks of neglect and lack of anybody living there. It's dim to dark with the curtains drawn, only a couple of cracks of light shining in.
Asana is real quick cast detect magic.
Okay. So that is a range of 30 feet, blocked by
So-
various widths of wood and stone. Okay. In this main room, you see this kind of this living and kitchen area. There's a hearth, various dishes set aside with what looks like the remnants of food crusted in. It looks like they might have been set aside to be washed later, but of course they never were. There's a faint smell of rotting food. Something perhaps kept in storage, but now gone off. Little bit of a hint of spoiled milk as you step in. You look around with Detect Magic on. You don't really see or sense anything that is magical. At least not here. Guards look over. Anything dangerous?
Hmm.
Magical. I can't guarantee any more mundane style traps. Though, judging by the setup, I don't think she intended a long expedition out.
Oh, well, let's look for any sign of the old bone working. And they throw open curtains, bring in a little bit of light.
Can also not give a perception check just to see if there's anything like in that kind of mundane danger area.
All right. I'll say it's a little bit more up close. It might actually be investigation.
Okay. She'll guidance herself. Good thing too. Yeah, 12.
Is Alsana not wearing those glasses?
Oh, you're right. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of figured. That's why I said something.
Thank you, thank you. Yep, she will flick them on definitely then.
Yeah, go ahead and roll that again. But add the same guidance to whatever's higher.
Just give her a click again.
Okay. So 17. Okay. You give the area a search. There's quite a few papers, a writing desk on one side, little pots of ink, a favored quill, it seems, set up near to hand, but a few spare quill feathers in storage in a drawer. Various implements of living. In the papers, you shuffle through and you see a little bit of what might be wizardly formulae for spells. But for the most part, they seem innocent, ordinary. Mage hand here, a let's see, I'll remind myself of her spell list.
Firebolt, mage armor.
It's been a while. There she is. Da, 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 da. Yeah, mage armor's in there. You might find a little bit of something that looks like the start of working out counterspell, but given the scribbles of ink on the page, it looks like she messed up at one point, scratched it out, and then started over elsewhere.
Do you mind if I take these arcane writings for personal research? She looks at the guards.
That's evidence, that is.
Alright.
Any undead stuff in there?
Not so far, though I doubt she'd keep it out in the open. Though it
Right.
is...
Start turning over everything. See if you
Yeah.
can find anything hidden.
There should be. This doesn't even feel like much of a spellcaster's home, let alone a necromancer. At least not yet. Alaris, if you'd like to aid in the rummaging about.
Sure. So make an investigation check then.
Yeah, make an investigation.
She'll give him guidance.
Cool.
Okay.
Very
Roll a
cool.
d4 on there. In the meantime, I'll just go ahead and throw the 2 guards in there.
Ooh.
Okay.
Very cool.
Should Osana give another for like secrets and stuff rather than dangers?
Yeah, go ahead with secrets instead of dangers.
Right. Investigation again.
Yeah, for dangers you didn't find anything really. It was a lived-in home once upon a time.
Yep,
There
yep.
wasn't anything like she could have set off herself. So go ahead and
Advantage.
yeah.
19.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Do. Ilaris, I will say with a 17 first of all.
Yeah.
You come across a small hidden compartment inside the bedroom.
Yeah.
And inside there, you find a pouch with what looks like some of her savings. So basically, you come across the equivalent of about 20 gold. However, you also find another smaller pouch. You open that up, and it is filled with a glittering dust. You found a bag of diamond dust worth about 100 gold pieces. Not
Yeah.
an uncommon arcane material. It seems this might have been a backup for her.
Yeah.
As I look up one more thing. You might also find something else. I just need to double check something to make sure I'm remembering correctly.
Googling.
Yeah, you find a little vial that has a what seems to be reddish but dark liquid in it. As for Alsana, a 19 investigation. As Alaris is discovering this little hidden floorboard compartment under the bed, you take a walk through what might be considered the kitchen area, and some of your footsteps, one of them goes thud, a little bit hollowly.
Hmm.
You shuffle
Tap, tap,
aside
tap.
the rug there, tap, tap, tap around, and you discover a hidden trapdoor.
Oh, almost disappointingly cliche. Anything magical on it?
Not according to Detect Magic, no.
Can she take out like a, I don't know, like a hairpin or something and just kind of check if there's any, basically check for traps on it?
Okay, one more investigation check.
Right. 18.
Alright,
Could she have
the
guidance
hairpin.
herself on that?
Go ahead.
Yep, because it's 22.
22. You find no traps.
Keep in mind you would lose detect magic if you guidance.
Ah, good point. Yep.
Oh, that is true.
Ah, yeah, she'll keep that off then. Guidance is.
You guidance Stellaris after detecting magic.
Yep,
earlier.
that's what I mean. Guidance has
So-
already been done.
So, you detect no traps. And Greg comes marching over. So, what'd you find?
Trapdoor.
Ha!
Sure.
We got it! Over here, Fred! Fred hurries over, and the two of them find the, or rather, you found the latch and pointed out. They haul it open. Look down into darkness.
Allow me to go first with eyes that can see in the dark. She can like taps the side of her head.
Don't get killed, Missy.
Hmm. Who knows? Maybe whatever kills me will bring me back. She gives a smile. She's gonna go cast detect magic again. And she'll slowly descend.
Okay.
Is there like a stairs or a ladder, or is it kind of just a drop?
There's stairs
Alright.
going down, but fairly narrow ones. Head down, and of course, everything to you is dim instead of dark. The first thing that you notice in the room below is uh, the shelf across of a handful of books, old-looking ones. The second thing you notice are the bones on the floor.
Bingo.
Mostly they look humanoid, though they vary in size and exact shape. Some of them might just be of creatures that are the approximate build and size of humans, but are not themselves humanoid.
Are they kind of separated from each other, or is it just kind of a pile of bones?
Some of them, like by the walls, there seem to be almost organized piles and rows and lines. But nearest the stairs, you just see maybe 3 or 4 skeletal collections jumbled together.
Detect magic pinging anything here?
Not really. You get a faint aura of magic off the books, not in the sense that they themselves are actively magical, but that they
Have magic in them.
are related.
Alright. Shildy, you can come in right after me. I feel like this spot speaks for itself, but I think I'll give investigation further into her paperwork.
The guards clatter down the stairs, preceded by the light of a lantern they seem to have found. And you hear a couple of faint oaths from the two of them as they look around. Well, seems she really was. Wouldn't have guessed it. Goes to show.
Usually they make sure they're not guessable. Otherwise, they're far enough from society that there is no chance of anyone guessing. Any other disappearances happening before or hers?
Nah. At least no more than you might expect.
I can...
She often went into the woods and came back.
If you'd like, I can consult with the spirits of past creatures so long as a certain portion of the body remains intact.
Ugh.
You do not have to be
Don't
here
be doing
for it.
Don't be doing the creepy things.
And I assure you it is by no
Okay.
means necromancy.
Alright, well, if you insist, then...
Simply an option if you'd like to perhaps give closure to a handful of families, be there nearby or otherwise.
Right, well... We'll be upstairs. You tell us if you... Yeah, no.
Huh.
They head on
Appreciate it.
back up. Elaris, if
Yeah.
you want to stick around, you can. You're used to this.
Yeah, I'll stick around.
Maybe say a prayer in Exanthus' name, would you?
Sure. Then he'll do that.
Okay. So, Alsana, what are you looking for?
She's looking for a skull.
There are a few. There's some to choose from.
Can she medicine and figure out certain, like, kind of like parse out what skeletons are what, and if they're all the matching sets or not?
Sure. Go ahead and do so. You can guidance yourself if you want to lose detect magic or don't care about it.
Before she does, she'll just give one last glance around the room. Anything else that's magic coming off?
Nope.
She kind of goes further in? No?
Nope.
Alright. Yep, then guidance. Check magic goes, medicine.
Bloody hell.
But wait, there's more.
What the? 33.
33.
We're in that territory now, are we? Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Dang.
Hell.
So,
All right.
Alsana holds up a skull to a large. Do you want to know what this one ate for breakfast 7 years ago?
No. Though I suppose you're not gonna monologue at me with that, are you?
No, I've got a talking one for that.
Right. Right. You did name that one Yorick, didn't you?
Oh, you put it together, did you?
Yes.
Okay, what
I
does she find out?
A lot more than I had planned or in mind, honestly. This is vague.
Yep.
This is vague. I've got no secrets for you to find.
Understood. Can we say that she is confident in the distribution and redistribution of any humanoid bodies such that they are among themselves?
Tell you what you find is that the heaps nearest the doors seem to be complete. In that, it seems that there were 4 distinct like skeletons at one point, but they got kind of jumbled together a little bit in these piles. Like sizes, races, kinds, they kind of vary. The organized stacks on the other sides of the room and stuff, it seems to be more organized according to these are a bunch of skulls. Some of them are animals. A lot of them are animals, to be honest. These seem to be ribs. These seem to be spinal pieces. These seem to be like femurs of various kinds. These seem to be digits. They do not seem to be grouped according to this is a complete skeleton, this is a complete skeleton, this is a complete skeleton.
Alright.
As such, they are not necessarily in order, and you're also getting a sense of sometimes there are more of one bone of the one thing than another of the same thing. Like, you see a handful of bird skulls, but not very many, like, rib or spinal bones of the right size and scale for those birds.
Alright.
And vice versa for various other things. It seems that a lot of those were way more piecemeal. There might be complete skeletons of a certain particular kind of thing among them, but even with a 33, that would be a hell of a jigsaw puzzle to determine whether you have complete skeletons, and even worse of one to be like, oh yeah, this bone and this bone and this bone and this bone all came from the same exact animal as opposed to the same type of animal.
Alright. Good to know then. Can she, at least in confidence, separate the skulls of any humanoids?
Yes.
And
You
make sure the
certainly can.
jaws go to the right skulls?
Yep. I'll say that you can do that much. You can match up teeth at the very least. A couple of skulls might not have lower jaws. But I'll say in about a bit lower than I intended. Let's add. Da, da, da. I'm just rolling dice until I'm happy with a number. Let's say you've got about 6 that are reasonably humanoid.
Alright. Complete ones?
Skulls.
Like complete skulls, I mean?
Skulls. Yeah,
Yeah.
complete skulls.
Okay. She will. Of those
How many times can you cast that that speech thing? Is it once per day?
I believe it's once per short rest.
Once per short rest. Okay.
Now I don't intend to do all that right now.
Yeah.
Can she determine from those 6 which is the youngest one?
Yeah. I'll say that you, with that medicine check, you can tell an adult gnome from what others might mistake as a human child. It's, an adult. The youngest one of them, it's not a child. It seems to be adult.
Good.
And human. And, yeah. Let's say that the wear on the teeth isn't as great, so it's like this guy has not had decades and decades and decades.
Alright. Then I apologize. She will do the speech beyond the grave on that one.
Okay.
I will not ask what he had for breakfast 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not asking for specific details in this instance, but she would ask for basically a confirmation of interaction with Seraphina.
Never heard of her. Who is that?
I guess if we're doing exact phrasing, I would have phrased that differently then.
It's not exact phrasing. I'm
Okay.
just going to tell you that you probably, Alsana probably finds the words and interrogates. The owner of this skull basically stumbled into the woods, kind of into misfortune, and basically died of exposure.
Okay.
He never knew Seraphina, and he's from this area of uh, not quite Adra, but similar border of Galgaea and Wood, and lived and died. From context clues you might pick up quite some time ago,
All right.
probably before Seraphina was born.
Okay then. Yep. All right. But she'll just kind of. All right. No talk of direct murder, but confirmation at the very least of desecration of bodies. Let's go see what these have, and she'll check the books.
All right, the books. The one that had the most magic seems to actually be an old spell book.
Mhm.
Maybe not Seraphina's herself, but one that she learned and copied from.
Can you catch the old owner of this book?
Ariel has no known owner
Got
in
it.
mind.
Yep. All right.
It's unsigned.
Obscure necromancer.
Yep. She learned it somewhere. But basically, you find some of the spells she used, and some that she didn't use in that encounter. You find Circle of Death. Um, there's a conjuration spell, Cloud Kill. You come across Blight, Vampiric Touch, Bestow Curse. Animate Dead is in there, and it is heavily dog-eared on that page. Ray of Enfeeblement, Blindness, Deafness is in there. Ray of Sickness, False Life. Chill Touch, Toll the Dead. There are probably some higher level necromantic spells as well that she seems to have been working towards, given that another book there seems to be her own notes. And as you read through notes, half-scrolled spell formulae, and jots of either successes or frustrations in her studies, you read mentions of her gathering, of her experimenting, of her trying to stitch together bones that aren't meant to go together. Various successes and frustrations in those projects. Notes that it seems that bodies that once went together in life bind together better in death than when you try to swap one bone with another. And her trying to find a way to overcome that, to breach this creative limitation and make better use of all materials instead of having to hope for something fully intact. Or to make it herself. She seemed to view that as a great inconvenience.
If Alars is watching as Alsana reads, her face kind of like twists and turns as she's reading this, like in a disgusted manner.
She seemed to do this more for curiosity's sake than with any particular goal in mind. However, in the notes, you don't read any mention of murder or anything more than opportunistic scavenging up until the very end, when she starts to mention her frustrations with this young man, this persistent gnat who keeps following her around, asking her questions, how she's concerned that if he follows her into the forest, he might see what she's doing.
And well, I suppose if there was any doubt in my minds from her personal account, there's the damning evidence. She kind of closes the book. And she'll kind of walk up to the back to the two guards with like her own personal like a Servina's spellbook in hand.
Mhm.
And she goes, "Here is noted journals of her in her probably verifiable handwriting of her work in the necromantic arts, as well as probable cause for her murder of Wyatt, the young boy she was involved with recently."
Lady, we got a basement full of bones. We don't need much more, but we'll take it.
There's a difference between necromancy and murder. If you read it, if you read it fully, there's no. She doesn't make mention of any of the bones she scavenged being directly resulting by her hand. More a vulture than a wolf. That said, it's still horrific arts. I would offer, if you'd allow it, I can do a proper burial for some of the bodies down in there.
Nah, we gotta sort through them bring them down to the morgue or whatever ourselves. So,
Oh, you have a morgue here.
yeah, a little one. Cemetery on the outskirts.
Oh, you'll have to introduce me. I believe I'd be helpful in
What?
that process.
Introduce what, the caretaker?
Yes, of course.
Old Cabbage Breath?
Cabbage breath, that's a bit mean. Is that an actual last name?
Everybody calls him that.
Huh. Oh, yes, I think I would like to be introduced to Cabbage Breath. Does he have a first name?
Old?
And she kind of rolls her eyes. I'd be interested in being introduced to the caretaker, yes. That being said, is this crime scene closed as it was?
Well, we'll figure out the rest of the sorting. If you want to stick around long enough for us to make sure there's no more magic going on, then by all means.
Alright. If I do so, would you be willing to part with those, more mundane, spellcasting writings from over there? You have plenty of evidence to sort through down there. I'm sure a bit off the top wouldn't be too much of an issue.
Once we do the sorting up here, we'll think about it.
I appreciate the consideration.
Alright. Okay. And that'll probably be the rest of your day if you stick through it.
Yep. Does she meet Cabbage Breath?
He's a crotchety old man who looks like he's got a foot in the grave himself. His beard reaches his knees, and he's missing all but 3 of his teeth.
Alright.
Cabbage Breath seems apt, as it seems that with the tooth situation, most of what he eats is cabbage that's been boiled very soft into a kind of soup.
She will, if you would allow it, aid in the sorting and morguing process.
As you ask this, Cabbage Breath leans in very close. You get this full faceful whiff as he goes, "Eh! What's that?
I would like to help you in sorting the bodies."
Speak up!"
She sighs, takes out a piece of paper, writes it down, slides it over to him.
What's this?
Read it.
What, you think I can read?
What race is he? Out of curiosity.
What?
What race is he? Out of curiosity.
A very old human.
All right. She's trying to think. Oh, did she have magic for this? Comprehend language itself. Damn it. speak with dead? This guy's almost there.
Unfortunately,
Can she change a letter?
speak with death.
Yes.
No.
Uh, can she attempt to convey what she would like to do?
You're playing charades,
Yep.
saying you want to help the
Yep.
gravedigger.
Yes.
Roll
She'll cast
charisma.
guidance
Roll
on herself.
roll bloody performance.
She does a fucking sign of the cross with help on this, like, performance, you said?
Performance.
Alsana. The NPC that was improv out of nowhere can't understand you. Take a hint.
I'm fine with it being said, okay, she helps him. That's it.
Yeah. Honestly, after a great deal of "That's very nice! That's very nice! Yes! You dance very good! I'm a bit busy!" You eventually just plop yourself down and start sorting bones, and at that point he seems to go,
Is it?
"Oh, okay!" and sits down and starts doing the same.
Alright. More for my own curiosity. Check.
What are you rolling medicine on?
Just to help with the bones.
Okay. You help well enough even at your worst.
She is. Her hands are. She needs a fucking smoke. She doesn't smoke, she needs one.
Okay.
That's that. I'll stop.
Hey, Kane and Calda. What are you up to today?
Kane is a mess.
Alright.
Sitting with him, trying to comfort him.
Yep, but he's gonna spend the day trying to enjoy the last bit of time he has with the young ones.
Yeah.
And keeping an eye on Cayenne.
Yep. Cayenne is keeping an eye on you, honestly. As for the young ones, what was once the youngest but now is in a strange twist of fate and in physical age the middle child suddenly.
That's every youngest sibling's dream.
Tierna, she actually spends some time sitting there and talking to you about her dad's leather working shop and how she helps sometimes and the work she's done, and asks Calda to show you the bracelet that she made her once and sent her in recent months.
Yeah, Calder will just show it, and it's just a little thing. I think Mom's carved into it.
Yeah.
In Halfling? Yeah, it is.
In Halfling,
So MUM.
Mom.
more or less.
There's an accent on the U.
Umlaut.
Mom.
Oh, I fully understood that as Moomalot.
Fuck, sorry, I coughed right into that. That's fucking funny.
Fun fact, I think I cracked a rib earlier, so that was fun.
Oh no!
Like, actually?
It hurts like a mother.
Oh no!
Didn't your dad do that?
No, he sneezed.
Okay.
If not, it's just very swollen. Either way, I'm good, don't worry.
Please be okay.
Yeah, they heal.
Don't worry, let's go back. Yes, they don't.
It's not a flesh wound.
So, Kane, you are there is a family of halflings attempting to comfort you.
Like, he's trying to be friendly. Like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm big brother, I'm tough. Basically. Should I roll deception for that?
Yes.
Performance, or?
One or the other.
I'm gonna roll 2, and he's
It's
just like,
charisma no matter what.
there's a big smile on his face and tears going down the side.
Yup.
Yep, there's a big smile on the face and tears going down the side. That's a 4.
You get a warm beverage.
Yep. He's just like brushing off like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna miss you guys so much. um, and after like a couple hours of, trying to be a big brother, he's just gonna like find Maxwell and be like, I want to test something.
All right. If it's testing the duration of my shield arm, gonna have to ask Call to be there too.
No, it's easier than that. I realized something we were sparring yesterday that I think my skin is more difficult to pierce than it used to be, but I'm not certain. So can you just like stab me?
That. All right.
It, like the shoulder or something. Like nothing huge.
Have you ever tried just like? All right, I wouldn't recommend the hand, but.
Well, look, and he's gonna kind of like take like his warhammer, kind of press his hand against the wall and smack it gently with the warhammer, and pull it back like see nothing because he resists bludgeoning. Sorry. And then he's gonna
Yeah.
take the one of his daggers and like press it to his skin and just like it doesn't poke through. It's like I'm pretty sure, but like I have no way to be certain.
He has the weirdest look on his face. Go ahead and roll persuasion.
Sure.
Max does not look comfortable with this.
Wow.
I'm not gonna force you. I'm sure I'll find it eventually. Don't worry. Just if
Yeah,
not,
I don't mind a spar, but sorry, I'm just gonna stab you. Are you doing okay?
Oh no.
Oh no.
that is.
Tried to kill me, and now you're asking me to stab you.
See that? Kind of wish you would just stab me there. Not good at the whole feelings thing.
That's okay. Neither is Kai. That's why I'm good enough for both of us. Come on, let's go sit down.
Oh, God, you're right. Oh, that's why you and Calder get along so well. Oh, I just collect people like this.
You probably need to, from the sound of it.
Hey, you're right. Can I at least like buy you like a sword as a thanks or something?
You already did. Call this a thanks for the sword. Have a seat. He sits down in the dust and pats the space next to him against the wall.
And he has the most manly conversation about his feelings that he can muster.
There are tears and snot everywhere. Anyway.
As usual.
Violent
Yep.
sobbing.
Yep.
Oh wow, coughing hurts so much more now.
Oh god.
Violent coughing.
Okay. Max is gonna start off with how are you doing? What's up? What's going on here? And follow on from there if you want to leave it vague.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time at this point. But basically, it's like. So I think she's not gonna kill Dad like first try, but like, man, getting through to her sucked. I had to be like manipulative.
It's a bit rough when you're more used to being straightforward, huh?
Remind me. Not used to the whole trying to convince other people of my.
Well, some of us are made for convincing, others are not so much. But we do our best. Now, the thing is, we gotta be able to figure out how you can convince you that that you can be okay. That make sense?
That's what I got you and Calder for, isn't it?
We can only do so much. You've got to do some of the heavy lifting too here.
Have you seen how much Calda can lift?
Yeah, but what about you?
She's always outlifted me. And she's like half my size. She's like condensed muscle. But like it's all heart. Heart's
Yeah.
muscle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wait, no, it's an organ. It can't be muscle.
Honestly, I'm not certain.
Whatever, she's like made of steel. But like warms. You know? You ever like just hugged a shield? And like, you know, because it protects you and keeps you safe. She's like a walking embodiment of that. Kane is very drunk at this point.
Yeah, Max is just kind of sitting there patting you on the shoulder as you're slumped over the table in a there sort of way.
Yep.
But kind of letting you ramble through it and prompting you with questions as you go.
Yep. And Kane lets it out. And he kind of just finishes it off, just like, oh, it's so weird not having this conversation with Calda. I'm so much more used to her.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, extending that net a little bit.
Hey, fish metaphor. I like that.
You fish a lot, and the conversation veers
Yep,
from
it
there.
just derails.
But the goal is that maybe Kane feels a little bit better, but that's up to him.
He's getting there. He's got a lot to push.
Yeah. You guys spend the evening together with the friends, with Kyan, with Maxwell, as an odd kind of family. Little bits and pieces maybe don't quite fit in just yet in the comfortable way of the others. But it's not bad. And for Kane especially, it's a lot better than what he grew up with.
Mm-hmm. It's giving him a crisis, but it's appreciated.
Mhm. And with that, the 7th passes. You're on to the morning of the 8th. The party in Resmond can take leave of the friends as they head back up Green Lake, down the river, and back towards Umbarion. In the meantime, Kane, Calda, Cayenne, and Max probably guided. You know what? I think your guide stuck around those days, though he made himself scarce and did his own thing in the city. But Talon shows up at prearranged time and guides you back through the Greenwater Wood. If you start out in the morning, it takes you a day to get close. You camp overnight in the forest itself. Is there anything that needs to be done or brought up on this day of travel?
No, he's just gonna maybe do a quick check in to make sure Cayenne hasn't changed her mind on the whole murder thing. But nothing major.
Yeah. She hasn't changed her mind. She'll hold back, she says.
Okay. He will take her at her word.
Okay.
Calder will probably something stone, just be like, we're almost there. We're going.
Good to know. We investigated Necromancer. Extremely guilty. Be safe. I'll meet you before dealing with the Roy encounter.
Elaris, go ahead and...
Sorry, one more. Just keep
Yeah.
both other siblings leashed. Done.
All right. Elaris, for this day, go ahead and roll your check for the orb.
Does he come to us on that hole for it?
That's up to him.
Is John,
John?
there?
Yeah,
Do you want to do your orb check?
sure. I'll do my orb check. Is this with advantage?
It is with advantage.
Okay. Damn it!
Another
I
day.
hate this. I hate this.
I am so sorry. I intended this to be a little thing that would be done fairly quickly, I thought.
Ah,
John, I love how cursed rolls like these are for you all the time.
Me?
It's so fun. Yeah, they're always cursed for you.
yeah. I guess so. Like the daily, like there's a reasonably high DC, but
Well,
get completely fucked on it. There's no way you could. There's no way you could fail this fucking thing.
it wasn't a no way you could fail. I
Yeah,
did
no,
want it to
just
be
very
a
quickly,
thing
yeah.
that took you time,
Yeah.
but oh
This
boy.
is fun.
We did not expect this much time.
It's taking
did you?
more time.
Uh-huh.
I hate this.
Real quick.
Oh, we'll get there. Mhm.
Also, I was gonna go find Roy again.
Okay.
And just, real quick, just if she finds him at the same tavern.
Yeah. He is staying at the tavern. I wrote down the name. The Coin and Bow.
Coin and bow.
Bow is in the bow of a tree.
She just kind of like gives a wave over.
He gives a wave back. This time he's sitting at a table. He seems to have borrowed a pack of cards and is playing solitaire.
Kane and the others should be close.
Well, good. It's getting a little bit stale staying here.
Only so many skirts to chase.
Something like that. A lot of them heard about what happened, so,
As they should. Of note. Just kind of like not looking directly at him. The others. The other sibling have been warned about.
warned, huh?
Might have more, violent intent towards you.
Hmm.
More than you got from me.
Well then.
There's talk of keeping it under control, but we need you for the planes, and it'd be a shame if you couldn't walk.
Huh.
I
Didn't
mean,
realize-
it wouldn't be useful.
Didn't realize Good was that mad at me.
Well, it's the other one.
Other one. What other one?
Oh, right, well, we've been finding more
Finding more what?
bastards.
Ah,
I told you about the one.
Same one?
No, a different. A girl, I think.
You sure about this? The thing is, anybody can claim anything. You can't exactly prove it was me.
I'm sure you use that excuse many a time.
It's not an excuse if it's true.
The fact is, from my understanding, whether it's you or not, the intent is that it is. And the anger towards you is that it is. So plan accordingly.
Right.
I'll try to ease things in.
Perhaps I should make myself scarce for a little while.
They're aware of you, and they're probably going to want to meet you for... Well, You could expect something not dissimilar to what you got from me. Or I'd at least say you'd be foolish to think otherwise. But I don't think there's going to be any proper attempt on your life or any permanent damages. And if so, it's in direct contention with our main goal, so yeah. I'd like to make sure we reach our main goal.
Well then, as long as you can keep me alive.
The onus is mostly on you.
I'll try not to provoke.
Kane is a step above, you might think, as well. He may look just a bit like a rough brute, but there's a refined edge to everything he does.
Oh, so that's how he takes after me.
Proper trained warrior. Maybe avoid saying something like that. If he doesn't directly ask, perhaps not bring up any family history.
Well, I'll see what I can do then.
And avoid condescending references. You're older.
I forget sometimes.
Well, you weren't there for it. Maybe you should have been. She kind of looked over at what he's doing. Solitaire, really?
Oh, things are dull.
I see you're not exempt. Bit of an old man's game, isn't it?
Well, when nobody else is around. Would you like to play a game?
She kind of tilts her head. I'm confident in my ability to suss out certain things, but at the same time, I feel like you'd still have me at a disadvantage.
No magic. Just pure skill.
Does that skill include lying about no magic?
Well, what do you take me for?
Only what you present yourself as.
Well then, you must be terrible at poker.
Deal.
And he deals. Go ahead and roll deception and insight. And if you're looking for any particular signs of magic, go ahead and throw in a perception as well.
Alright. Deception, insight, Deception. Insight,
17,
perception.
14. All right, perception. Yeah, you don't see any signs of magic. You know what you're looking for. He doesn't make any weird hand motions, mutter anything. You don't see him toying with anything that might be an arcane focus. As for the card game, his insight is lower than your deception, so you probably bluff a few things past him. However, his deception,
Mm-hmm.
you read nothing.
She doesn't even want to look too intensely at him, so yes.
Yep. And kind of based purely on that, he does win the hand.
She puts up a decent fight at least.
You put up a decent fight. You bluff a couple things past him, but in the end, you don't even see it coming when he lays down a very good winning hand without ever having given any sign that he had anything other than something average, something that he was perhaps playing up to be better than it was.
So that's what you were practicing while you left me, huh?
He basically did a double bluff of, oh, it's you think he's bluffing that it's good, but it's probably not that good. Oh no, it's very, very good.
He wonders if he even looked at the cards or he just kind of went on his own seat of his pants. Just... Well, like I said, I expected you had much more experience than I. Now, if we want to have a competition naming various internal organs, I'm sure I could sweep you under the table, but...
Probably. Not really been an interest of mine.
Right.
You see, I care a little bit more for what's on the outside of people than what the squishy bits on the inside, so...
Really? Seems you have one goal in mind. She kind of gets up and throws the hand back towards him.
You know, it wouldn't hurt you to be a little bit more friendly. Just in general. To people. Prickly nature, you're gonna push everybody away.
She kind of turns back. I mean, it's all I know. When people do it on their own, I mean, might as well speed the process along, no? And if they don't, well, that's all the more reason for them to stay. Maybe you'll get a good reaction out of them. It's better than them just leaving on their own. At least I'd like to think so. One last one, just to make you a bit more uncomfortable before the worst of it comes trotting up to town. Was my mother your first consideration for something like marriage?
She was.
Was she the first in that, idea of romance?
Well, not the first there. Of course. You know,
More
young
than
people
a small
flirt.
fling. Something serious, something legitimate, real.
I would say so. I imagine if it had been otherwise, I would have proposed to that person instead.
Right. But she was the first.
She was.
And I'll come find you when they arrive.
Well, I'll be here.
Don't get yourself up in the stockade in between that time.
I'll do my best.
Although, who knows? It was a good first impression for meeting you after so long. Maybe I should string you up by your feet. Leave you out in a storm.
Now, it doesn't happen that often. Just want to make that one thing clear.
You bluff me out of that last hand and you expect me to take what you say at face value.
course. I try to be honest. The bluffing's just for fun.
Right. Try not to leave another bastard by the time you get out of this town. She walks out. Maybe be honest about it if you do.
You know, it's not my fault.
She kind of pauses in the doorway. What's not your fault?
Timing.
Of what exactly?
He just kind of makes a gesture and a shrug. I can hardly help it when somebody happens to be fertile. What am I supposed to do about that?
She kind of turns around.
Oh, commentary in the chat.
I wish you hadn't made that first mistake. Maybe then you would have been a bit better at it. You wouldn't have had to deal with all this. You'd be a different person. You might have better understanding. Just because she burned you the first time, don't shun the idea of something more committed. Something where you can talk to the person, understand when there's potential, and hopefully care about them enough that whatever comes isn't the end of your world. It's not like certain ones were when she walks out.
All right. With that, we come to the 10th day of the month.
Yeah.
Halfway through the day, Elaris, make your roll.
She
Yeah.
slaps him.
Right. Give
You're
me
getting
a sec,
guidance.
because I have to get back into roll 20.
Okay,
So
When-
put that on hold.
whenever you do.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the other half of the party, +2, reaches Adra about midday.
Also, on
The
his
sun-
waiting at the route that would have been there to taking.
With the sun high in the sky, beaming down warm. In fact, it's getting on towards the hotter part of the seasons. There's very few clouds. Just little puffy white things here and there in the bright, bright blue. It's almost inappropriately bright, cheerful, beautiful, a happy sort of day as you approach this small, sleepy little town nestled in the foothills of Veravale at the edge of the Greenwater Wood. You see a little splotch of a figure at the edge of town waiting as you draw closer.
Floating a few feet off the ground.
It is Alsana floating a few feet off the ground. Probably absolutely baking in her habitual black robes. But
She
she's
can
there.
cast Frostbite on herself.
She's there, faintly steaming in the summer heat.
Under a tree.
Elaris may be there as well. That's up to him.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Elaris is there as well.
John, do you want
Yeah.
to roll that check for you?
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. It's at advantage and guidance.
And
14. Oh,
it's
I
a
rolled one.
yep, it's a yeah, you rolled one. So we need a second D20. Right
four.
now, yep. Plus a D4,
17.
not +4.
So,
Yeah.
21 without
17.
guidance.
Nope, it is not
Charisma.
21. Oh yes, charisma.
His
You're right.
charisma.
Charisma, yeah.
That's
So
where the
he
plus
has-
4 is. God.
So the 17. So the 17 would be
Nope, 17 plus
21 plus
4, 21.
21.
Plus
so I
guidance.
just made it.
So yes,
22.
I will take care of that with you outside of this because we've moved on to this. We'll
Cool.
say you did this afterwards on the way back into town.
Yes, sure.
So, as everybody reconvenes on the edge of town, knowing that Roy is somewhere within, we're going to go ahead and leave it off there and pick up next week. Hopefully.
Hmm.
In the meantime, Elaris, I'm just going to go ahead and give this to you.
Ooh.
As you sort of fiddle with the black orb that you'd picked up in the Green River Shrine in the treasure room. The one that Xanthus was insistent on you messing with.
Yeah.
You kind of are idly messing with it at first, and then you feel almost the sensation of a mental click, and your fingers sink into it. Name a weapon.
Name a weapon.
Name a weapon.
Crossbow.
And the orb transforms in your hands into an elegant, pitch black crossbow with a faintest sheen of purple where the light hits it.
Whoa.
Name something else.
Longsword.
It becomes a longsword, and it is comfortable in your hand.
Great axe.
It's large, it's heavy.
Is also another?
You feel like you would have to use strength as it is right now, unless you made it into your packed weapon. But again, it feels comfortable. It feels like something you could wield. Somehow the ability seems to seep through the steel into your hands. And I'll go ahead and show you the write-up I did. For the fell steel orb, now awakened. Now quickened.
Quickened.
Yeah, Alsana is there because you slapped him with guidance.
Yep. She just kind of like jolts back on the broom for a sec. It's like, what the?
I don't know.
Oh.
I was just kind of idly. I think this is what Xanthus was talking about when he said he wanted me to look into this more.
Alsana kind of like floats over and kind of like puts a hand out to just kind of see it. Like whatever weapon it is right now.
Yeah.
She just kind of like turns it in her hand. Oh, that's not fair.
I'm just wondering.
Black's
and I
my
hold
thing,
the-
not yours.
Purple's technically kind of my thing as well.
Yep. Correction on one point of description that I messed up on. When you're holding the great axe and the longsword, you don't quite feel like you could wield them, but you would have to attune to it to gain that ability.
Okay.
Basically, quickened, you can still make it into any shield, weapon, or little handheld object, and if it's shield or weapon, no, not a shield. Yes, a shield. It's a +2 and magic. However, once attuned, you're considered proficient with any weapon or shield made from it.
And can I make the fell steel orb my packed weapon?
You can. As long as it is a weapon.
Also, I was looking, that's not fair.
Like if you,
This is awesome!
If you
oh my
shifted it-
god, I'm so happy.
account, but yeah.
Dude!
Alright. So, let's go ahead and hey, this is why I said a DC 20 and 3 of them.
Kane shows up, that's not fair.
That's not fair. Everyone Calder shows up. That's not fair.
Oh, okay. Let's
Oh,
go ahead and call it done for today.
Are you telling me you can turn that thing into a great axe and swing it around with reckless abandon with your weak noodly arms?
I suppose I can. I can make it a packed weapon, apparently.
And it looks as gothic as it does right now.
Yes.
And she just kind of like crosses her arms and like just goes into a corner. Ugh, the others aren't gonna be happy with this. Well,
I know you're not going to be happy with this because I'm kind of stealing your thunder, but
can you make it a different
Ah.
color at least? Make it more
I
purple.
don't
It's
think
got a bit of a sheen, but it's not enough.
Can I
Can
maybe
you guys it up?
yeah, make it a little more aesthetic?
The color is the one thing you can't change.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
can
I'm sorry.
make it.
Hold on.
You can make
Did
the
you just get-
shape more or less gothic. You can like add spikes or remove them. You can make it as simple as you want or ornate as you want.
I
You
want
can
it to
change
have.
the
I want it to
color.
have instead of like gothic. I want it to have sort of like an elven, sort of elegance to it.
That you can do.
Do that.
So I looked at it. Oh, I'll live with it.
You get a metamorphosizing weapon and you complain about the paint job?
I'm not complaining about the paint job. Alsana technically is complaining about the paint job.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you won a free car. Oh man, you lucky bastard. It's a hearse. Fuck you.
Damn.
All right, we'll end it there.
Damn, boy.
Goodbye.